book of poems gets bigger and bigger.
So when does the Nancy Roman telescope go up? Does anyone know?
I'm not sure. I heard it was a repurposed military telescope originally. Am I correct in that?
I don't know.
It sounds right to me.
But that's repurposing military stuff into science stuff is always good. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's alleged to be May 2027, but obviously that's,
right.
that far out, it's going to slide.
That's true.
Okay, here we go.
One of the big terms that people always use is Mars is going to Mars. And so you have to have a system that's robust to whatever Mars is going to do.
One of the main things we do on Mars with Perseverance is collect core samples, package them into tubes, and store them in the rover so that they're available to return to Earth in the future.
We've collected a whole variety of different types of rocks. Each can tell us something different about Mars. If for whatever reason over the next 10 years there's any sort of failure of Perseverance where we can't do a direct transfer to the return mission, then we need to have some sample tubes placed on the surface to be collected by the future mission.
People are talking in the room. There seems to be another image that should be.
There it is. Congratulations, everybody. This is historic.
This is the backup option for picking up the samples. It's a massive milestone.
It's a big day. It's really a wonderful moment, made possible not just by the sampling and caching team, but by the team as a whole. And it's been great. Okay, I think I have to stop now.
When it works on another planet, you can't really use words to express that feeling of joy and pride and satisfaction, and to do it with teammates that you've gotten to know really well and respect a lot is just priceless.
Hey everybody, I hope you're ready for another Global Star Party. This is our 123rd event, and so we have a wonderful lineup, a new face, and I hope you really enjoy it. The theme of this Global Star Party is Starlit Reflections, and I kind of find that that's what a lot of amateur astronomers eventually, they'll reflect on kind of the experience of it and the feeling of it, And, you know, for some of us, it's kind of hard for us to put into words, but our presenters really do their best job in trying to do so. If you haven't noticed it, we're right out in front of the Explore Scientific Building today, where we broadcast, simulcast all over the world on social media channels. But I found this really cool quote from Nikita Gill. And Nikita says that we have calcium in our bones, iron in our veins, carbon in our souls, and nitrogen in our brains. We're 93% stardust. We should be made of flames. We're all just stars that have people's names. I love that. That's cool. Anyways, kicking off Global Star Party in 123 will be David Levy, who is going to introduce a friend, Mark Zdziarski. Hopefully I didn't ruin that name, but anyways, he's never been on Global Star Party before, and he's going to be talking about the Adirondack Astronomy Retreat. David Eicher is continuing his series of Dave's exotic deep sky objects with the Dusty Hand Galaxy. Carroll, president of the Astronomical League, will be joining us for a little while to talk about the League and anything else that's on his mind. Maxi Falieres with his Astrophotography to the Max will be on, and then we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back with Conal Richards and Conal's Cosmos, Robert Reeves in Postcards from the Moon, Navin, Senthil, Kumar, young astronomer. I might have mentioned that Navin and his father went to the Northeast Astronomy Forum, and I was happy to meet him in person, so that was really cool. Adrian Bradley in Chasing Dark Skies with his amazing nightscape photography, John Schwartz in Drawing Out the Universe, and Cesar Brollo will wrap it up with us about the red carbon star DY Crucis. Anyways, I'm really happy that you guys have decided to tune in tonight, and we'll take it away.
Thank you.
And here we are. Everyone, it's great to be back again on a Tuesday night for Global Star Party, and we are here with a great lineup of speakers as usual. I think I put in that our speakers, our astronomers, are actually astronomers that are made of stardust. I just thought I'd point that out. So anyhow, if that wasn't obvious to you, anyhow, no one does an introduction like that. Sorry, guys. Anyways, let's get started by our first astronomer made of stardust, and that would be David Levy. David, thanks for coming on to Global Star Party.
Thank you. Before I start, Scotty, is it possible that you could send me a recording of last week's GSP? Because I kind of like to listen to part of it.
Of course I could.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
To download it and
Okay,
I'll send
thanks.
it to you. Yes.
Okay, one of the things that Scott and I were talking about was that for the poetic reading, I asked him permission to read Wendy Amongst the Stars again, because I've done some tweaking to it, and I'd like to give it another shot. And Scotty's reaction was, you don't have to ask me to do that. Of course you can do that. So here I'm doing that. The rhyme scheme for this poem, I chose the Tennyson In Memoriam stanza, ABBA. And here is the poem that I wrote during a day of extraordinary depression a couple of weeks ago, and I've been tweaking it ever since. Each day I awake, today is the day. I look towards her, she is not there. My heart goes on, but do I care? Will anything let in a ray? The night is dark as coal. The sky is stars from west to east, from south to north, just like a feast, a pill, heaven sent to calm my soul. A telescope stands and waits for my eye. It asks just one brief look, forward through space like an open book, and back through time, open wide its gate. I see a star. Why is it there? lapis philosophorum, philosopher's stone that strikes the night. It ushers me home as part of a pattern to learn. I dare. But reason not. General relativity, gravity's geometry, no speck of thought, no idea works, no system bought, a newborn thought of creativity. She's a part of me, a beam of light amongst the stars, in the sky a star, not there, but there, her soul so far, from grief to joy, all through the night.
That was beautiful.
Thanks for letting me read that again. And now I'm going to introduce, it's a real pleasure to introduce a dear friend, Mark Zdziarski. I have known him for years because we have been together at the Adirondack Astronomy retreat since it started a lot of years ago. In a way, it started in 1964 at a summer camp, the Adirondack Science Camp. I was there. I fell in love with the place. I would say about 50 nanoseconds after I arrived, and I never lost that long. It is held near Lewis, New York, just south of Plattsburgh. Coincidentally, it is going to be in the path of the total solar eclipse next year.
Nice.
And quite probably so will a lot of clouds, but it is in the path. And what we do now is we have every summer a retreat there. And the spirit of the retreat is to remind ourselves why we became observers and passionate about the sky in the first place. And Mark has given a number of presentations about the retreat, and it is my deep honor now to introduce Mark to talk about this year's coming up Adirondack Astronomy Retreat. Mark.
Hi, David. Thank you very much. Yes, as David says, I've been going to this retreat for many years, and it has a very special place in my heart. So without further ado, I'll just see if I can share my screen. And we'll start talking about the retreat. Okay, here we go. So it's now been renamed the David and Wendy Levy Adirondack Astronomy Retreat in honor of Wendy. So it's a summer astronomy vacation. So the whole point, the whole idea, just as David said, is to go and find out the reason, or re-find out the reason why we became astronomers in the first place. I'd also like to dedicate this talk to Wendy, because without her, this retreat wouldn't have become the very special thing that it has become. And without her effort and her friendship and her love, this retreat would not have been the, would have been as special as it is today. So, as David loves to say, we go up there to recharge our astronomical batteries. We go up and we observe under a dark sky, we relax. Many of us do astronomy outreach, and we work with the public all the time, which is, what we love to do, but sometimes we want to go and observe for ourselves. And not that we don't love newcomers, we always do, but it is a quiet place to go up there, observe with friends, and just, be under a pristine sky, at least for the East Coast anyway. So, yes, the retreat started back in 2004. I started going there around the year 2010, if memory serves. And yes, David has childhood ties to the camp, and this became an astronomy vacation for many of us. And as many of us know, that David was co-discoverer of the Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet, and this year is a kind of special. It's the 30th anniversary of the discovery of Shoemaker-Levy 9.
If I could interrupt you for just 2 seconds.
Yes.
Did you mention the discovery of SL9? This is one of the films that we took that night that has the discovery image of Shoemaker Levy 9 on it.
Oh, wow.
So I'd show it to you.
Oh, we need to preserve that in some way. That would be wonderful. Yeah. So where is it located? So it's a Twin Valley campsite up in, it's owned by SUNY Plattsburgh. It's owned by State University in New York. It's sponsored by one of the astronomy clubs I belong to, the North Jersey Astronomical Group. And so if you would look at it for an address, it'd be located in Westport, New York, or Lewis, New York, depending on what Google search you do. But it's right on the border of the two municipalities. So if you're coming from major metropolitan areas like New York City, it is a 4 to 5 hour drive depending on how leisurely you go up there. But it's also accessible pretty easily from many of the neighboring states. So many of us also come from Canada. So from Montreal, it's about an hour and 45 minutes or so. But when you get there and you come up the Twin Valleys Road, you'll come all the way to the top of the road and you'll see the observing field and the main cabin where you check in, and all of the small cabins that line the observing field in the background. What time of year? Well, obviously, we want to go when there's no moon, because you want to go for the dark sky, and usually it's in July and August. And this year it's between July 16th and the 23rd. And so we have technically it's 2 sessions, and you can combine them for the whole week. Many of us do, particularly in the Northeast, because we have cloudy skies so often. But we also have activities in the afternoon, talks, and all-night dark sky observing. So if you do come, just remember that the retreat 1 starts from Sunday to Wednesday. Retreat 2 is Thursday to Sunday. And now people ask, what happens to Wednesday? Well, Wednesday is called an interim day. So that's kind of a day where, the people from the first retreat are leaving, and then the second retreat may begin on Thursday. But many folks decide to add that day on there. So on the interim day, there usually aren't any talks, but we often go to the Star Trek tour in Ticonderoga, which is quite wonderful. Accommodations, this is an interesting star party. Most star parties, you are camping out under stars, you bring your own tent. Here we have, you can bring a tent if you wish, but we do have 12 cabins. We also have in the main cabin, the main building, men's and women's dorms. And so we have full bathrooms and showers and a kitchen, which is kind of nice. Believe it or not, it's a little bit more cozy than, laying on the hard ground. The cabins can sleep up to 6. They also, particularly if you come in a family or a group, you will basically put you all together, so you don't have to worry about, sleeping in different quarters and whatnot. So this is kind of what it looks like on the inside. Usually there's only 1 or 2 people per cabin. We don't go crazy overcrowding the place, but they can hold up to 6 people. And this is what it looks like inside the main hall. This is where we eat, we have our talks, and we plan our activities for the day. So the food schedule, which is quite wonderful. We're late risers, so breakfast is 10 in the morning. We have a light lunch around 1 o'clock, and dinner at 6 p.m. And all night long, there are snacks and coffee in the main lodge for people who do their all-night observing. You can come in and take a break from all that. The meals are included. The breakfasts and dinners are catered by Chartwells. The lunch is kind of a light lunch prepared by some of the regulars, usually Lori and Patrice, sometimes myself. But the catered food has gone a step up, especially last year when we started the retreat again, first time after COVID. They've hired gourmet chefs, and this, before they would bring pre-prepared food. Now they prepare it in front of you there in our own kitchen, which is quite nice. What do you do when it's rainy or cloudy? So obviously there's no observing, but attendees will bring movies or music, so there's a lot of singing going on. We also do impromptu presentations and trivia games. So there's always something to do. Astrophotographers who may have done some imaging the night before, they'll get a chance to show their images to the group as well, at least their raw images. Hiking, also, usually on the interim day, some of us will go hiking, or if we know it's going to be cloudy during the evening, we'll go and take a hike. But there's plenty trails on the site, and they are taken care of by SUNY Plattsburgh themselves. The talks and presentations are quite varied, and they can be, quite data-driven and technical, like some on spectroscopy and whatnot, and some can be very experiential in nature, and there's something for everyone with all these talks. So here's just a couple examples. Some folks will give a talk about their astronomy vacation at doing auroras. Sometimes we'll do things about meteorites, poetry, and everything in between. So the one thing we like to do on the interim day is take a 40-minute drive to Ticonderoga to the Star Trek experience, which is kind of a Star Trek recreation museum tour. And sometimes some of the next generation cast members and original series cast members will be there to sign autographs from time to time. But you get to go through and tour the entire Enterprise. And some of the pieces there are original pieces. For instance, the harp in the meeting room is actually an original piece, and it's signed by all the original series cast members. It's pretty amazing to see. So back on the grounds, on site, we do have a 14-inch Meade Schmidt Cassegrain, which Lelex 200, which we actually got working again last year. So that's available for attendees to use. We'll also try some electronic assisted astronomy out of that telescope this year. Essentially, it's those unfamiliar with it, it's similar to video astronomy where you use an astronomy camera and you bring down images on a screen. We'll do them inside the observatory and not outside, as to not blind anyone out there, obviously. But it's still going to be an interesting experience. So the observing field shows all the directions quite well, depending on where you set up. So going back to this, satellite image, most people here tend to set up near this main observing field road right here on either side of the pond. South is kind of this direction here, if you can see it by the main lodge, and north is kind of up by these cabins over here, generally speaking. Most of your Milky Way photographers, and when I get Milky Way shots, tend to go in this back area over here behind the pond. You get a really, really good view of the Milky Way. But there's, plenty of room for everyone on this field. So again, it's a place where friends meet and relax. Through the years, you get to look through other people's telescopes of varying types and sizes. And it's quite the relaxing experience. Also, we have a 16-inch Dobsonian for attendees to use. It was donated by Skywatcher USA, with one caveat. In the middle of the night, you'll find David searching for comets. So he gets first dibs without anyone. So also, speaking of David, if you ask him nicely, he will go and sign your telescope for you. In fact, I think a attendee brought one of the Explore Scientific Comet Hunters last year, and David saw that. It touched his heart, and he signed it right away. It's quite nice. So getting down to observing, how do you do that in this type of climate? So we tend to set up once, just for the whole week, you know, or for half the retreat, whatever, however long you stay. How do we do that? So a little bit of preparation is always helpful here. So things that you want to bring, some extra tarps for the ground and for your telescope. Obviously bug spray, because there's lots of mosquitoes potentially, depending on the temperature. Both warm and cool weather clothes, because it is in the Adirondacks. It's generally not oppressively hot, but we have had 90-degree days in the past, and we've had days where it was up in the upper 40s in the past. So I would say, you know, prepare for low 50s at night, you know, and prepare for, you know, 80s in the afternoon. Bring a 12-volt power supply, some extension cords. Yes, you can plug in. There's electrical outlets by the observatory, and some of the cabins will run cords, which will help. And make sure you bring dew prevention. This site is notorious for having lots of condensation. So if you have a Cassegrain telescope or anything along those, you know, with a large lens that, you know, doesn't have a dew shield, and even if you do have a dew shield, you want to make sure you have a dew heater also. Telegizmos cover for your telescope, sunscreen, pillows and sheets for the cabin, and a red flashlight. We don't want to have a white light on observing nights, particularly when it's clear outside. That will ruin your dark adaptation. Also, you'll notice in the large picture at the bottom, you see these tents, and those are actually not people camping. Those are garage tents. So some folks will use them to store their equipment, their eyepieces, and from the weather. And the astro imagers will actually go in there and put their computers in there, a little table, so they can not disturb the visual observers. So it's just so you get the idea of, you know, some common courtesy there. Some other accessories. So this was, you know, a few of us set up. We put our tarps together, but you can see there's a tarp on the ground, and the tarps over the telescopes, a telegizmos cover, right? If you happen to have a mass-produced Dobsonian with particle board, I highly recommend having a tarp beneath the telescope, as well as putting one above it. The reason for that, if it does rain, water can sometimes get trapped underneath the tarp, right? So the idea here, if you see this little picture, you will fold up the lower tarp underneath the upper tarp and bungee cord it. No water will get in, and it'll preserve your telescope. Just some, you know, tips from people that have been doing this for a long time. Things you pick up and you learn the hard way. So this site is got very little light pollution. We're Bortle 2-3. Particularly if you're looking south and west, it's definitely, you know, you're looking into a rural sky. If you're looking north and east, there is a small light dome you can see in the picture down here, down below. That's Burlington in the distance there, but overall not that obtrusive. So what can you see at a dark sky site like this in the Northeast? Well, if you're used to light pollution, if you look at, hypothetically, you look at M42, and you can see it here late in August in the early morning. If you're in an urban area or suburban area, you can barely see the nebulosity, maybe right near the trapezium, right? At AAR, I've seen it, you know, through my 12-inch Dob with all the tendrils and the nebulosity, and it's just expansive and beautiful. And it's just a visual observation, not a photographic one. It's, you know, so take that and run with it. So if you're an imager, all of your images will be much shorter, and your exposures will be shorter, and the objects will show a lot more detail. And the Milky Way is abundant here. I've seen my shadow from Venus, which is pretty astounding. That surprised me. We do get some meteor showers, a lot of rogues, but also the Eta Aquariids, particularly towards the end of July. We sometimes see dim comets. Just ask David what's possibly up, and he may be able to point the way to a 12th magnitude comet. So all of the things you see at your suburban sky or your low-hanging fruit, star clusters, globular clusters, nebulae, where they would be averted vision, these are mostly direct vision. So there's that little light pollution. All of your, lagoon, Trifid, Swan, and the Veil in particular, use an O3 filter, are astounding. Matter of fact, my favorite view of the Veil came through our friend David Rossiter's 25-inch obsession. I will never forget that image in my mind. And so the closest thing I can come to it is this color picture up here. Picture that in black and white, and that's pretty much what I saw through the eyepiece in his telescope. Galaxies M33, you can see that without optical aid on a really good night. M31, instead of just seeing the core, you'll see dust lanes. Even in a smaller scope, an 8-inch scope will show that to you. Also, I'd advise make an observing list because all of your IC objects, NGC objects will be available to you to see visually. So we also do group pictures. So both retreats get a group picture, which is kind of nice, and the whole group gets sent that. And just to reiterate, this year the dates are Sunday, July 16th through Sunday, July 23rd. And there is a registration link if you decide you want to go and register. It's Adirondack Astronomy Retreat.squarespace.com. So that'll take you to the registration site, and SUNY Plattsburgh takes care of the registration. How much does it cost? It does, each retreat for adults are about $330. If you take the whole retreat, it's $710, but that also includes meals on the interim day. So for children, it's cheaper, obviously, 12 and under, $165 per retreat. That coming to the conclusion. So it's a week of astronomy in a dark sky. For the East Coast, this is dark. It's a cozy vacation with good people. And when I say you make lifelong friends, you really do. The people here, even more than the dark sky, keeps me coming back year after year after year. And I talk to them, by email and the phone, people, that you become friends with, and they could be in Canada, they can be on the West Coast. You make lifelong friends. So just want to say thank you. And if there are any questions, it's Adirondack Astronomy Retreat at gmail.com, and Patrice will get back to you as soon as he can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Yes, and I did share the link to your Squarespace webpage. So,
Okay.
as
Thank
well.
you.
Yeah. Well,
Mark, I have a question.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a personal one. One of the very first pictures you showed was a picture of you and Wendy, and I believe that the other one was Martha.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you could send that to me.
I sure can. I absolutely can.
I have completed a slideshow for my Remembering Wendy talk that I'll be giving there, and I'd like to include that picture.
Sure can. Absolutely. Not a problem.
Okay, I've heard you give this talk many times. This is the best. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for coming on to Global Star Party. And know that you are always welcome to come back. So
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it.
okay, that's great. Well, up next is David Eicher, editor-in-chief of Astronomy magazine, and he is going down a list of several hundred exotic deep sky objects, and this one is called, do I have this right, David? It's the Dusty Hand Galaxy?
The Dusty Hand Galaxy. Never trust popular names for deep sky objects, ever. Because either these were really bored people or they were on some controlled substance. I think many of these names, they make no sense whatsoever. But this is what it's called. The Dusty Hand Galaxy.
Dusty Hand, okay.
So I will take it away.
Take it away.
I will share my screen. I'll see if I can find the right thing to share. And I will start a slideshow. And can you see Hoag's object, a very unusual ring galaxy there? Well, this has nothing to do with anything. Forget about that. It's just a pretty picture. But I do like that object. I think we'll get to Hoag's object, about 3 years from now in this succession of objects, but not yet. So today I thought I would talk about, indeed, it's called the Dusty Hand Galaxy. You may actually know it better by its NGC number, which is 2346. It's a barred spiral in Camelopardalis, which is an SBSAB peculiar galaxy because of some interaction with a much smaller galaxy, which we'll see in a moment here. It's a fairly dim galaxy, but not super dim, about 11th magnitude overall in V magnitude. It's respectably large compared to what we talked about last week. It's about 6 arc minutes across. So, kind of an average Joe, a little bit brighter than an average Joe galaxy, as we might call it. It's about 70 million light years away, the Dusty Hand. One day we'll get to the bottom of this. Maybe. Can't promise anything, but, boy. So anyway, the interesting thing about this, whatever kind of hand it is, it shows some warping and peculiarity. Holton Arp was interested in this galaxy because there's a smaller galaxy that's not very creatively called NGC 2146A that is tidally interacting with this galaxy. And so it's causing some unusual form in the shape of the disk and some tidal interactions with the dust. It's about 80,000 light years across. So this is a galaxy that's a little smaller than the Milky Way. And it's most notable. This isn't a very well-studied galaxy, not like the one we talked about that's pretty obscure last week or a few weeks ago before my vacation, forgive me. But this is a relatively minimally studied object. It does have a fairly high rate of star formation, so it's classified, and presumably because of that interaction, it has been tweaked into being what astronomers call a starburst galaxy with a fair amount of current star formation. Let me see if it really wants us. There we go. It wants us to go forward about 10 times. And we'll get to a star atlas here, a little tiny piece of Ron Stoyan's Star Atlas, the Interstellarum Deep Sky Atlas, a really nice combination of detail and portability. And you can see the Dusty Hand here. So this is the object, and you can see how distorted it is, imaged by Mark Hansen. He's one of the great imagers around these days, and this is really a curious object. You can see why it caught the attention of Holton Arp and others early on because of all the warped detail of the disk. Here's a Hubble image of the Dusty Hand, which of course is magnificently more detailed. We don't yet have a Webb image that I know of the Dusty Hand, but you can see there's a lot of star formation going on, even fairly close to the galaxy's hub and nucleus here with these, in this image, the way it's colorized, they appear sort of as rusty orange H2 regions, star forming regions here. So there's a lot going on, much more so than a typical galaxy, which operates at a very slow formation of a star or two per year, like the Milky Way. And that's it. That's the dusty hand. So I encourage you to get out and look at it. This is also a big moment in the history of our magazine here because it took half a century, but we finally made it to the 50th anniversary issue, which is now just going off to the printer and will be out in August. So we have some special features about the, looking forward half a century and what may happen. Always interesting stories to write, speculating about the future, looking back in all the great stories that have happened over the last half century that the magazine has covered. Anne Dreen, Carl Sagan's widow, the executive producer of Cosmos, has written a special story, as well as Dave Walther, the brother of the magazine's founder, who was the publisher of Astronomy magazine in its early years. I wrote a story about the history of the magazine and all the crazy stuff that's happened. I've only been there for 40 of the 50 years, though, so part of it is an assumption. And then we've talked about the hobby of astronomy and how it's evolved over time, and also imaging, which, of course, has really rapidly evolved. Imaging is really unlike it was even 10 or 20 years ago here, as you guys know. So that's a special issue. It's oversized. It has extra pages. And then I will mention once again the book that I've written recently with Michael Bakach, A Child's Introduction to Space Exploration, to inspire a new generation of kids to get into that new era of public and private space. Also, I'll mention very quickly, if I can, Scott, was involved in this as well. We've fairly recently announced that there will be a new Starmus Festival upcoming next year, just about a year from now, and it will be in Bratislava, Slovakia, and we have all sorts of special surprises and performers and speakers, astronauts, Nobel Prize winners, rock stars, and others who we will have there a year from now. And Scott, I think you're going to be involved in this again with a star party and with all sorts of special stuff there. So I don't mean to speak for you, Scott, but I think we'll get you.
Why you put that into my calendar right now?
What's that?
You put that into my calendar right now. So.
Yes, put it into your calendar.
Okay. Yes.
It's mid-May.
You know what, you guys, if you have not been to Starmus yet, you can't not live the rest of your life and not go to Starmus. I mean, you will. It is beyond a bucket list kind of thing. So you really need to go. You will be left transformed. That's the only way I can say it. You will be changed.
And it's really actually easy to get over to those European cities. Some people have asked me, why won't Starmus be held in the United States? And there is a substantial amount of government support where we've done Starmus. And can you imagine the United States Congress voting to fund a science festival? Well, I'm not going to hold my breath. Maybe it'll happen. But the United States Congress, I'm not sure, is familiar with science, let alone supporting of it. So anyway, it's happening in Europe again, and it's one of the, sort of plagues that our founder and director, Garrick Israelian, has, is that each one has to be bigger and bigger and better and crazier than the last one. So there are a lot of special surprises coming up with that. And Scott, I think you'll be involved with the Star Party once again. So that'll be lots of fun. It's conveniently going to be held about 5 weeks after the total eclipse in the United States. So thank goodness we're not dropping it on top of a big eclipse. So you'll be able to go see the eclipse. David Levy, I think, will be there as well next year. You'll be able to see the eclipse and then go over and relax and rest and listen to some great talks about science, moving the planet forward, taking care of the planet, and also some rock and roll.
Awesome.
So thank you, Scott, as always. I will turn it back over to the head guy.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not really the head guy, but I get to hang out with you guys who are actually all the heads. So we are moving right along now. We have astronomers that are come from a lot of diverse areas in our community. You know, you've got an editor of a magazine here, the magazine, the world's most popular astronomy magazine. You've got David Levy, who has given his life towards astronomy outreach, astronomy education, and his love and passion to search for comets. Mark Zdziarski, did I say that correct, Mark? Okay, big thumbs up. All right, that's good. Mark, who is going to be running an amazing retreat experience. I wish I could get away and do it myself. I was listening to this, and David has begged me to come many times. It has just always been something where work got in the way. And so, but I know that you guys have a great time there, and I know that people really do benefit from this. And the next speaker that we have coming up is none other than the president of the Astronomical League, which is the world's largest federation of astronomy clubs. They have over 20,000 members, and hundreds of astronomy clubs are under its umbrella. And so their observing programs, their long list of awards and recognition programs that they have, there's something for everyone at the Astronomical League. If you don't belong, you're not a member, you got to join. So we're going to turn it over to Carroll.
Thank you very much, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for your kind comments. And I would like to report that the registrations are coming along nicely for Baton Rouge, but there's still room. So if you're wanting to attend a very special event with lots of speakers, and including 2 or 3 who are on this broadcast tonight, come on down. We'd really love to have you. And now I would like to share my screen. You see it?
Not yet.
Here we go. All right. Okay. Okay, we're good now.
Not yet.
I'm also an amateur at this as well. Bear with me, please.
Very nice picture of you, though.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You have to hit the green share screen button,
Here's the
pick the screen that you want to share, and then commit to it.
Okay, here we go. How's that?
Sorry.
There's still no luck.
We're going to make this happen yet, I bet you.
I do find that sharing a full screen seems to work better than sharing an app. I've seen some troubles with that, but
Okay,
I have nothing but faith that you're going to get it.
still not there, huh?
Not yet.
Well, this is interesting. All right, let me go one other place, and we're going to make this happen. Is that good?
You're good, but no.
Okay.
You can talk your way through it.
Yep, we may have to do it here in just a little bit. We're not going to give up quite yet, but
Observers, you have the green button above your panel.
I've got the share here, the share button. Yes.
Okay, the share button, and then you have to click the window that you want to share. If you put the first one, it's going to be there all your computer. But if you select another single window, it will be that only window. And then you put share, and that's all.
Okay. And I'm sorry, guys, we are going to get there, I think.
We're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
You can do it, Carroll. You can do it.
Well, I've got it on my desktop, and that should work.
Do you have multiple screens, Carroll?
I just have the one as all.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm going to slideshow. I'm going to share. And I'm going to go to where my file is, which is on the desktop. And are we there?
No.
Okay. I think we're just going to have to talk through it.
Okay.
Okay. In Kansas City, we have got a world-class science, engineering, and technology library. It's located at Linda Hall Library. That's the name of it. And it's noteworthy because it is world famous for the collection of rare books in the collection. And if this had been working, I was going to go through the various star atlases of the world. In fact, the title of the talk is The Golden Age of the Celestial Atlas, an exhibition of rare books from the collection of the Linda Hall Library. One of the primary ancient literary sources of the constellations were from Venice in 1482. In the Renaissance, the work was usually attributed to the Roman historian C. Julius Hyginus, who lived in the 1st century BC. But now we know it was probably composed by some other person with the same last name at a later date. The Poeticon Astronomicon was published in 1482 in Venice. Although this early edition had star positions indicated, they have little to do with either the positions described by him or the actual positions in the stars in the sky. And the image I had here, if we could see it, was a woodcut version of Perseus. The next atlas that's part of the special exhibition that they have now committed to an online situation. It used to be strictly at the physical location. They put special events together, but now it's totally online. I'll have a link for that just a little bit later. The second major atlas that was published was by Johann Bayer, Uranometria, in 1603. That one contained 51 star charts, one for each of the traditional 48 Ptolemaic constellations, plus a chart of the newly discovered southern skies and 2 planispheres. One of the main features of this book is that it was an atlas, a collection of maps rather than of pictures. Each plate has a carefully engraved grid, so the star positions could be read off to fractions of a degree. These positions were taken from the catalog of Tycho Brahe, which had circulated in manuscript in the 1590s, but which was only printed in 1602. And one of the main features of that 1603 publication was the fact that this marked the introduction of a new system of stellar nomenclature. Greek letters were assigned to the brighter stars, generally in the order of magnitude. Another novelty of Bayer's Uranometria was the inclusion of a plate of the southern stars discovered by 16th century voyagers. It also included 12 new constellations. One of the odd features of the Uranometria is that Bayer chose, for some reason, to show many of the human constellations from the back, even though traditionally they all face us. Unfortunately, this caused lots of problems for other astronomers as well, and they did some changing in the next publication of a major atlas. In 1690, Johannes Helvelius published his work, and this was the first star atlas to rival Bayer's Uranometria in accuracy, utility, innovation, and influence. It is unique among the grand atlases in choosing to depict the constellations as they would appear on a globe, that is, from the outside looking in, rather than from a geocentric point of view as Bayer and others adopted. This atlas also introduced 11 new constellations. They always seemed to add new ones as they were going along. Not all of these survived. Some were added to other constellations over the years. Then in 1729, John Flamsteed published his atlas Coletus in London. He was the first astronomer royal of England and presided over the building of Greenwich Observatory. He was a dedicated observational astronomer. He also published, or after his death actually, the British Catalogue of Stars was published in 1725, well after his death, and it brought stellar astronomy to a new level. His star atlas was published 4 years after the catalog, but had been in development for over 20 years, and it was based on Flamsteed's new, more accurate observations. Flamsteed objected to the reversal in the appearance of Bayer's earlier depiction of the constellation figures. Then, to end the golden age of the celestial atlas, we had Johann Bode, who published his publication in Berlin in 1801. If the golden age of the celestial atlas began with Bayer's publication, it ended almost exactly 2 centuries later with Bode's Uranographia, the largest star atlas that has ever been published, and it also had the positions of more than 17,000 stars, as well as just about every constellation ever invented, and no less than 25 nebulae that had been discovered and cataloged by William Herschel. Practically everyone proposed since Hevelius is included here, as well as 5 brand new ones. And the next slide, I'm going to give that, and I'll send that to you, Scott. I'm going to copy the link to this exhibition.
Okay.
Put that in the text there, the chat.
Okay.
And if my system had been working correctly tonight, the next thing I would show you is a picture of our one and only David Levy from 2015. And that was featuring him and several trustees from the Linda Hall Library, as well as their president. The picture shows of his observation logs, many of which are stored at the Linda Hall Library. And earlier in the month of September of 2015, David presented his observation logs to the Linda Hall Library following his lecture, Writing the Same Book Over Almost 60 Years, a record of a night watchman's journey under the night sky. And then David wanted me to also let everybody know that in addition to his observing logs, which are a part of the collection at Linda Hall Science Library, he also donated his first telescope, a 3.5-inch skyscope, to LHS as well. So that is my talk. And thank you so much. And so sorry of the hassle with the.
It is no problem. It's no problem.
No, still a good talk. Now, we could probably, I guess a last resort would be to email it to someone and have us present and we work together on it. The talk was still really good. So we still got a lot of good information out of it, even if technology didn't want to help us.
Thank you so much. I'll admit I'm an amateur at this at times as well, and I apologize for that. But
No
anyway,
problem.
that's my talk, and I wanted to make sure we recognize David, his collection at Linda Hall. And one thing I might say about the rare book collection at Linda Hall, those rare books, one can set an appointment at the Linda Hall Library and go in and physically touch those ancient manuscripts.
Oh my God. That's
So,
cool.
and they have, in addition to star atlases, they also have many first edition books, astronomy books, as well as other scientific books. So if you're ever in the Kansas City area, I would really encourage you to stop by, and we can make the arrangements to make that happen. So thank you so much.
Do you yourself get in, Carroll, do you or does the Astronomical League get involved at all with the Linda Hall Library?
Yes, we have been involved. Actually, anytime we've had a astronomy convention in Kansas City, we've always had some kind of a rare book display for our patrons that come to the convention, whether it's a national convention or a regional. And so it's really, they have really updated their capability of sending data and articles to the whole world. So you can get online, go to Linda Hall if you're doing research about a certain scientific field of study. They can email that information to you. They make it very seamless and very easy to do research. And I would highly recommend it.
Great, awesome. Okay, well, thanks very much. And again, if you guys if you don't belong to the Astronomical League, definitely visit their website at astroleague.org. And the other thing I'm going to recommend that you do is you tune in to their Astronomical League live programs. They have special speakers on. I don't know who the next speaker will be for the next event. Do you recall the date? And
I believe it is the second Friday of this month. In fact, it's coming up, I believe, on maybe the 16th. And
okay,
with that, but it's a week or two, and we'll be publishing it. So make sure you check on the league webpage. We'll be publishing that. And I think that's it. And I'll put.
Well, it may be, actually, it might be on the 9th. The other thing I'm going to point out is the Mid-States Regional Alcon is happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the 9th as well. That starts over the weekend. One of us from Explore Scientific will be there, and I might be able to get away myself. It's not too far away from us.
Excellent. It's being held in Jenks, Oklahoma, which is a suburb of Tulsa, and they have a world-class planetarium there, which would be really interesting to see. So feel free to come. I'd love to have you.
I would like to add my congratulations to you, Carroll, for this wonderful overview of the Linda Hall Library. The first time I was there was when I was doing research for my doctoral thesis, and I went there to do find out some things about Shakespeare. I had gone to two libraries. One was the Folger in Washington, and the other one was Linda Hall. And while I was there, one of the librarians brought out to me a copy of an original observing log done by one of the most famous, one of the Herschels, I think it was Sir John Herschel's original log. And I was just relishing that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was at that moment that I talked with them about donating my observing logs to them. And that turned out for my next visit. The one after that, I donated my personal journals to them. And then finally came the telescope itself at the end. Some people have been asking about the telescope that I've used to discover most of my comets with. That is being donated to the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada so that they can put it to better use than I can at the moment. I have Eureka, which is an Explore Scientific 12-inch, which I'm now using for my comet search. So a little easier to move around and a little easier to use. But Carroll, excellent, wonderful presentation.
Thank you. And I'll put the real thing out someplace on the internet so everybody can see it. Sorry for the mishap.
Okay, well, thanks very much, guys. Next up is going to be, we're going to go down to Argentina to Maxi Falieres. And Maxi, thanks for coming on to Global Star Party tonight. It's always a pleasure to see the beautiful images that you make.
That is, if your internet doesn't freeze.
Your internet does not freeze. Maybe he's just holding really still. What do you think?
Oh, there he goes.
Is. He's back. Okay, he's back.
Yeah,
I have connection issue. I don't know. When I started the GSP, I didn't have any problem. I could see you very good.
Right.
Hello.
You're okay now. You're okay.
Okay. So
it's low bandwidth. We can tell, but okay, we can. But
yes, I don't know. I don't know why my connection goes pretty rough, but well, I hope you see me good and hear me good.
yes, we do now.
Yes.
And we think it was just the jealous astrophotographers pulled a plug on you somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe they say, "Oh man,"
then they put it back. Yeah,
the evil eye that we call it.
Right.
Oh well. So well, thank you for reminding me tonight. I'm glad to be here, like every Tuesday night with you guys. What I'm going to show you is what I've been doing this last Sunday. We know, we had a full moon practically, but for now, that's not a problem to do astrophotography. You can do, of course, take pictures of the moon, and then you can try another objects. Even if you have filters or something like that, can help you to take more sharpen and details from deep sky objects without that light of the bright moon. And of course, if you are in a polluted area of light. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, the connection gets established.
that's coming soon, by the way.
Yeah, you will have it in a couple months or next year.
Soon to the center line near you. That's right.
So get prepared for that eclipse. Get prepared. So well, what I'm going to show you, this is from Stellarium software. This is the day of what I was taking pictures. It was last 4th of June at 10 p.m. From here, maybe. You can see at the east is the almost full moon rising up. And behind that, we have the core of the Milky Way, but the moon is very shining, and you can't even see it. But behind that, you have all these beautiful places to watch. But anyway, I put my equipment outside my backyard, and I put also I will work it with the extreme filter of 1 inch and 25 to take pictures of a place called the Liberty Statue. That's besides of the Carina Nebula. And it's a good place that with this kind of feature grows up the details and the shapes, because taking single shots is really difficult, even if you have light pollution and if you have a full moon. But first of all, I want to show you what kind of sky that we have here, because for example, this is my north. you can see Arcturus star. And of course, I'm in the southern hemisphere, so everything that you know, it's upside down. Like if I watch it, yeah, and if you show it from the north. So I point this area because I did some pictures with my cell phone to the scope and a little of the sky. So you can see that's my night. That was my night. And you can see here is Arcturus. And here is the nebula from Lion's constellation. And of course, this is my equipment and a couple of trees. This is a banana tree of my father, and a couple of naranja, limon, orange, lemon, another kind of trees, an arbust. And I was taking pictures of 30 seconds with my cell phone. And you can see here how in a couple of 20 minutes change the position of the telescope. But almost was illuminated. You can see this here is the shadow of the banana tree, because this is the light that reflection we had of the moon. So that's why this is not on the day. This was 10 p.m. almost 11 p.m. So basically, it's when I took pictures of 30 seconds with a cell phone, with only a tripod, put it and leave it to take pictures, I could have this. And in this case, I'm working with the NEQ6 ZWO 5033 color camera. And guiding with this 290 mm ZWO camera, and of course the 8 inches telescope. And this is like we call it when you do it yourself, a hood that I made with neoprene. To protect more the comma corrector, because you can see here is a hole that holds the spider of the secondary mirror, and nearby there is the edge of the scope. So it's I don't like too much. It's a short telescope, and they put out too much. They did too short the cylinder of the scope. But anyway, I did this shield. You can hear me because
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Now it pops up a warning of my instability connection. But okay, so you can see here the sky is moving, and hola. Hello.
Yes. Yes. No problem.
No, I think I'm okay. So, for example, this is a couple of stars, and I don't know if you can see it. It's unfocused, this star, because I want to focus to the detail of the scope, and that's why the stars are more rounded and with little details. But when you go to a stellarium, you can see the same area with these stars and this L from here. You can have the L here and this star. Well, so hello?
Hello?
Okay. I hear some sounds that
Can
make
you
me
hear me?
no, I hear some sound that makes me think that I'm losing connection. So
Yeah. You do have a low bandwidth, but your sharing the screen is perfect, and so it's okay. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continuing.
Yeah.
So, well, here is my polar south polar celestial pole, and changing the meridian, let me put it like this. Here's the south. So basically, this half is the second meridian. And I went to this place, here's Carina Nebula. This is the running chicken nebula that I don't know what it calls like that. And beneath of these two nebulas, we have this place. This is the Liberty Statue Nebula, because it has the shape of a Liberty statue upraising his arm, and it's like a perfil. So I tried to do pictures of this place with a narrowband filter of color, and the result was almost this. For example, this is a single shot of 3 minutes.
Excellent.
So you can see it's almost the same field of view that I have here. You can see this red square is the sensor with my telescope. This is simulated. So basically, I have practically this place. You can see here, there's an open cluster, little open cluster. Of course, it doesn't need little, but anyway, I try to capture this, and but fighting with the light pollution, because this place is on the south of my city, and to the south I have the core of the city, so the light is pretty shine, and of course the LED lights is really tough. But anyway, with this filter, in 3 minutes you can see it protects a lot of that light, and also I have the full moon, so it's really good filter. And also I love the stars. They are pretty much rounded. For example, this one, I think the collimation was good. Finally.
Okay, it looks like we're frozen up here a little bit. Let's see if Maxi can recover.
The great smile, though.
It is. Nice part of the sky. I think maybe
May have lost him.
may have lost him. And we did. We did. So anyways, Maxi may come back on with us later and get a little bit better connection here. We are about ready anyways to take our first, a break, not our first break, but our only break for Global Star Party. And I have been playing some of these wonderful programs that were put together by NASA, and they are symphonic interpretations of the visualizations that NASA has done. And so I'm going to play this one for you. I think you're really going to love this. This all has to do with the moon. So here we go.
Hey, Scott, before you play that,
Yes.
if I'm going to have to be departing at this point, but if you could send me last week's Global Star Party, I'd like to
Yes.
watch part of it.
I will do that. I will
Okay,
do that.
thanks a
I'll download
million,
it.
Scott. You take
Okay.
care.
Thanks,
See you
David.
next week,
Okay, here we go.
Adrian.
Farewell, my friend David.
That was incredible. We are back, and Maxi was able to regain his connection, so he's just got a few minutes left before we go to Conal Richards. Maxi, do you want to try to finish up here?
Yes, I will try.
Okay.
My USB ports get crashed, but I think I have reset it. So, okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, do you see it?
Yes.
Great. So we were on Peaks Insight. So this is the stack of the Liberty Statue Nebula here and in the right. And you know, I only did one process of this place, but anyway, without that process, it's really amazing place to capture, you know. But then I continuing, I did the dynamic background extraction, so gets more flat of the background, and then when I process this image, it changed a lot of that. I get this. You know, this is, like I said, this is my first process of this amazing place.
Yes.
And you know, I really love the different shapes and colors of this place. You know, this is like a tree, and here is changing the color and the shapes and the lights, and this long bear of
Just a tapestry of dusty nebula against that that really electric looking you know, branches coming off in the center there. It's really cool.
Let me get zoomed a little more, but of course, if I get zoomed, it will be distortionated. But anyway, I also love the stars that I get. They are pretty much circulary, and the spikes too. I didn't have, well, look at this amazing place, to this dust that gets with the lights with those stars, and this I'm really happy to capture this one because I wanted a long time ago, and when I do without the filter, it's only a little shade of this, and of course the more light in places, but that's all. So well, I think this is all for tonight. I'm sorry for the issues that I get, but you know, it could happen.
It happened to any of us, of course. So
Yeah.
that's right.
Well, thank you,
Well,
Scott.
Maxi, thanks for making the effort, and thanks for sharing your great work with us. And
It's a
we'll
pleasure.
see you next time. Okay.
You'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Okay. Take care. All right. Okay, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to transition over to Conal Richards. Conal's been on Global Star Party several times, and it's always a pleasure to have him on. He always gives a great presentation, full of information about not only the experience that that he has and shares with normally with a group of people around him, but also his great astrophotography. Conal, I'm going to turn it over to you, man.
All right. Thank you very much for the introduction, Scott. I should mention those images earlier, Maxi, were beautiful. You can really see the Statue of Liberty kind of coming out. And that video we looked at during the break of that symphony over those images of the moon was really a great transition to what I'm talking about today, which are some of what I call off the beaten path lunar targets. These are craters and mountains and rills and things like that on the moon that I've come across lately. And they're objects that, or I guess features that we don't really see brought up in a lot of the lunar books and you know, astrophotography a lot, but they're things I think are certainly worth looking at, some things that have an interesting story to tell. But before I go into that, I have some images to share that I took today through all of this wildfire smoke. I'll share my screen here. Let me know if you can see the PowerPoint okay.
Yes.
Okay. Playing around with all the Zoom handlebars right here. Okay.
There you go.
So on the cover slide here, I have sketches of two craters along with an image I took of Copernicus. Scott over on the left is, I think it's a southern polar crater, very far down, a little bit like Clavius in appearance, but you're kind of looking at it edge on, which is really cool. And then there's Messier on the right, which is one of the features I'll be talking about today. But like I said, first comes this wildfire photography. These images, this one right here was taken at 5:05 local time when the sun was 36 degrees high in the sky. There's no filter here. That's pretty much what it looked like to the naked eye. There is the disk of the sun barely coming through. The sun in this instance was even dimmer than some stages of lunar eclipses that I've seen. That's kind of what it reminded me of, because the whole horizon is kind of dark, kind of like a solar eclipse. And so much of the sun is blocked out here. In fact, you could just look at it straight, without any filtration, and it was pretty dim. Here we see a little bit more of it coming out, and these are the raw images I grabbed earlier. And then after this, I zoomed in and I tried to take an image through some binoculars, though it was, a really odd way of doing things. I was getting these slightly clearer patches of the smoke, but it was pretty thick and pretty wide over the state. I should reference here that I'm living in northeastern Pennsylvania. That's where I took these images from. And this smoke is coming down from Quebec, and it's coating New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and I think quite a bit farther down the East Coast as well. But in this image here, you can just barely see one of the larger sunspots on the sun right now. There's one there. There's one a little farther up here. No specks on the lens. And I do have a little bit of a cleaner image later that I took about 2 hours after that. Here's one of the sun setting. I think it's about 10 degrees high at this point. And I got it nicely set between the two pine trees there. I was going out and looking around, trying to see if I could get one more good shot for tonight's talk, and there it was. I zoom in a little bit here, and you can see that sunspot again, that big one there, and such a deep red color, almost kind of an orange. It was really an otherworldly thing to see, and with how the forecasts are looking, it looks like things will be even smokier tomorrow, unfortunately for us, because as soon as you walk out the door, you can actually smell it. It's like you're standing next to a campfire. It's very thick right here, but we're also expecting some thunderstorms and rain in the near future. So hopefully that can clean up the lower atmosphere a little bit and quite literally give me some breathing room. But on to tonight's main feature for the talk, which is these off the beaten path lunar features. We start off with Messier crater, which we saw in the title slide here. And on the right, I have an image that I took of the moon. You'll see this on all of the forthcoming slides. It's right about the full phase, and I have a red box there to indicate roughly where this is. On the left here, I have another picture. This is taken from a smartphone app called Moon Globe, and it adapts images from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, kind of overlays them on the moon, and then puts these features on top of it. You can get labels there. And that's a much closer look at kind of what we're looking at. And then I also have some information in the upper left, and that comes from a book called The Moon, Mars, and Venus by the famed lunar cartographer Antonin Ruckel, I believe is how you pronounce his name. But he has the famous Atlas of the Moon that quite a few people are a fan of. And right here next to me, I have the smaller, kind of lighter version that talks about the Moon and Venus as well, or the Mars and Venus as well. It has some maps in there. Very good book. I do recommend it. But back to Messier crater. It's quite a small one, about 10 kilometers in diameter. It's way over kind of towards this eastern limb of the moon, just south of the Sea of Tranquility. And you see it has this double impact here. So it looks like a rock was kind of skipped on a lake. There's the main impact here. You see Messier with the actual label on it. And then just to the left of that, you see a secondary impact. So maybe a piece shattered off, maybe the impact split in two and was kind of traveling together. Maybe it skipped off, just like a rock on a pond. But we kind of can tell that these are related because if you look to the left of this, you can see these rays here. There's a big one to the north, big one to the south, and they're just shooting straight off several times the diameter of the crater. So it looks like this impacted at a really shallow angle and just kind of skipped off the moon right there. It's a really beautiful crater to see. You can get, of course, more detail on the craters if you look at them when the terminator is around that location. But if you wait until a little bit later, like a first quarter or a full phase, you can see those rays really illuminated. And it really gives the crater a lot of dimension. It's definitely something I recommend checking out. And this crater, like all of the other features I'll be talking about tonight, are within the range of small and medium-sized telescopes. It's always nice to have some things for everybody to observe. I come next to Bessel Ray here, and in the image to the left, or this picture here, we have Bessel crater right in the middle, and you can kind of see the ray stretching this way. It runs north to south. You can see it quite clearly in the larger image. And my interest in this ray was kind of provoked by a Sky and Telescope article some years ago. I don't remember the exact issue. But essentially the story behind this ray is that if you look at maps of the moon and you try to trace this back, it doesn't really seem to come from a notable crater. It's named Bessel because it runs right through this Bessel crater right here. But this crater doesn't really seem to have a lot of rays around it like, you know, Copernicus or Tycho down here would. And this is such a huge ray. There's some speculation that it might have gone all the way from Tycho down in the southern hemisphere of the moon and kind of splashed up right into the Sea of Serenity. There's speculation that the crater that might have made this ray has now been covered up by past lunar geologic processes, but its origin has never been quite pinpointed. And as I think the clip we watched earlier with the symphony kind of showed, though not in words, the moon is a very mysterious place, and it's hard not to feel that when looking at it. There's a great sense of mystery and beauty when observing the moon, and you can get a part of that yourself, even if you're observing with binoculars, with how bright and long this feature is. It's about 600 kilometers long, and of course, well worth a stop on your quest of lunar targets. Third, we come to Montes Rook, which is way over on the limb of the moon, right here where that red box is. And the picture I have on the left shows kind of what it looks like at an angle. But I was doing some sketching of this. In fact, this whole talk was inspired by an Astronomical League observing program called the Lunar 2 program. They have a lunar program where you kind of look at the seas and some of the major craters, but this Lunar 2 program goes into a little bit more detail, and it directs you to observe some slightly more challenging objects on the moon. And over the course of observing in that, I found some of these odd targets, and that's kind of why I thought I'd share them here. But Montes Rook, the reason I bring this one up is if you look at it just at the right time when the libration is very favorable, you're looking at the mountain range edge on, and it borders Mare Orientale. It's kind of a curved mountain range like Montes Jura up here. But of course, we're looking straight at the side of it. And you can see there's peaks here, there's valleys here, and there's one point where you look at the mountain range and there's this very distinct V shape. So you're kind of looking edge on at these cliffs. And like a lot of these other targets I bring up tonight, it brings the moon a lot of dimension and a lot of life. And like I mentioned earlier, the libration can be just favorable to see that, but it can bring us a little bit toward us and a little bit away from us as the moon is kind of rocking back and forth in its gravitational tidal lock with the Earth. And it brings our solar system quite a lot of dimension. It shows us how dynamic the universe we live in is. And it's always nice to be reminded of that in the targets that we choose to observe. Fourth, I come to Mons Huygens, which I think should be a stop on every lunar observer's list. If you're trying to cross off the biggest and the tallest and the best, this is the tallest mountain on the moon. It's about 15,000 feet tall, or 5,400 meters. It's located right in the Apennine range, right here. And you can kind of see it. This is around a first quarter phase where this simulated image comes up. You can see the angle right there, right where the Y in Huygens is. It casts quite a shadow if you look at it at the right time. And it's similar in height to probably our highest Alps, or maybe the extreme end of the Rocky Mountains, if you want to get some perspective here on Earth. But it goes straight down, as we can see. You can find it with this ghost crater outline. Looks like there was a crater there in very ancient times on the moon. It's been filled in by magma, but you just see the rim of it right around here. And it's kind of, you can't help having some curiosity of what it would be like to stand down here on this plain and look at that mountain and kind of wonder what a tall mountain on the moon looks like, especially because it's curved so much more sharply. It's a smaller object than the Earth. It really brings some more mystery and beauty to the moon, like I mentioned earlier. And finally, tonight, we come to Rima Hadley. And the reason I saved this for last is I believe it's one of the best. It reminds me quite a lot of what a scene on Earth might look like. So the Rima on the moon, these are rills, these are cracks and ravines that have formed in the magma through various methods. And you can see it snaking through the mountains right here. Now, if you were to extend this simulated image on the bottom left, kind of right down here, if you kept going down and to the left, is where you would run into Mons Huygens. So this is in the same mountain range, just a little bit farther north if you were to slide up that curve. But we see some mountains here, kind of to the northeast side. And then the southwest side, we also see some other mountains, the main part of the Apennine Range. Rima Hadley runs straight through it. You can kind of see it snaking through. There's mountains there. You can see Apollo 15 landed there. So I'm sure there's some great pictures that those astronauts got. And it almost looks like this rill here is sourced up in these mountains. Much like we have ponds at very high altitudes and they start to form rivers and they have tributaries and they snake down through mountain valleys. And it almost looks like a floodplain down there. And obviously the moon doesn't have the great flowing water rivers that we have on Earth and some of the forested mountains. But we can look at the moon there and see just a little bit of the Earth in that. And I think that's a really beautiful connection to have the two celestial bodies. And perhaps maybe you're even observing from a mountain valley or a mountaintop, much like the one we're looking at here, but from very different geologic circumstances. Again, these mountains are quite high. It features the Apennine Range does Mons Huygens, which is the tallest. And then we also have Mons Hadley, which is quite tall as well. The Apollo 15 astronauts returned some great images of that. And we have this approximately 80-kilometer long rill snaking through there. So next time you get out and maybe you're bummed out that the moon is kind of brightening up your deep sky plans, I still recommend getting out your telescope and taking a look at the moon because as much as we enjoy these great features like Copernicus and some of the larger mountain ranges and the bigger and brighter craters, it's nice to take a second look at the moon and really take in all of the finer details. So I encourage you to get out and do that. Thank you very much for having me tonight.
Awesome, very much. Very much enjoy having you on, Conal. You know, I think that when you observe the moon and really study it in the way that you have, you really you develop an even deeper bond with the moon, you know, and it makes you think of all the aspects that the moon and the Earth, you know, the dynamic that we have with the tides and you know, thank goodness we have a moon such as we have. So you know, that's great. What is your favorite part of the moon?
In terms of a feature or some aspect of the moon?
Yeah.
I think I might have to point to Mons Huygens, one of the objects I talked about tonight, because I remember learning about that very on in my observing career and thinking about mountains that I had seen on Earth. And that was kind of the starting point for developing a deeper connection with the moon and with the cosmos. I've been doing a lot of deep sky observing lately, but like you say, it's really nice to go back to the moon sometimes, kind of go back to basics, to where you started in astronomy.
Right.
So Mons Huygens was one of the biggest and best features that I was first able to find. And that's one of the reasons I included it tonight. I'd like to see many other people have that same experience with that mountain.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And we will we'll see you hopefully next time. So our next Global Star Party. Let's see. We have looks like we have a little bit of a change in our schedule here. So I am going to switch over to Adrian Bradley. Adrian, are you?
Yep, I can. I plan to sort of wing it.
Yeah.
This time because there's a couple things coming up. You've got an annular eclipse, and I think, Scott, you are going to be hosting an event.
That's right. Yeah, we are. We're going to have our first eclipse expedition type of star party, stargaze. It'll be in hill country of Texas, and it'll be in the same spot. Actually, you would go and set up in the exact same spot and come back just 6 months later and witness the total eclipse from the same area.
It crosses the same
we call it
area,
the
yeah.
Crossroads of the Eclipses Star Party. And so, yeah, you can find more about that if you just go to explorescientific.com/eclipse and learn how to take part in that. So,
yeah, so that was one of the places that I considered going to. I'm publicly sharing. I had sent you an email about a friend of mine, one of the many folks that's giving out presentations about where to see the eclipse. That would be one really good place to go. I'm going to share screen because I'm also going to talk about planning and preparing for your night photography shot, which I think is also a good thing to discuss as well. So a couple of things here. Here is the information you were talking about, Scott.
yeah,
And here is the gear to invest in. Now would be a great time because these variable large aperture solar filters, these glasses are going to go fast when it becomes time for the actual solar eclipse, whether people go to totality or annularity, or if they just stay home and watch the partial eclipse unfold, which a lot of people did. The last time we had total solar eclipse, a couple people from my job came down or went down to where it was when it crossed over here, Kentucky, Tennessee, which I'm looking, here we go. It crossed down here, which if you notice, it's a little bit further north, but then again, it came, as we call it, came this way and down. And so we will not have another total solar eclipse in North America for 21 years. I've sent you an email about a presenter that would love to come on Global Star Party and do a presentation on the eclipse, and we can, we'll be able to discuss it. But one of the other places, and I don't know if this map's clickable, if I don't, right down in here, I guess near Austin is where you're going to have the Star Party, because that's where the Crossroads is. But if you stay north, Point Pelee National Park, if you can get into Canada, this juts out into Lake Erie, and that's on the center line too, or at least within the swath of the center line. So if your travel plans include having at least a passport card for Canada, that would be an option if you're staying north. And I'm planning right now to figure out, I've actually discussed with the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada that this place, which is becoming a dark sky preserve. So you'll see some photos from there not long from now that will be photos that I'm going to take ahead of time, once the sky is clear from this national park in Canada, if I can get out there and then assess just how beautiful the place is. It looks like it's a very beautiful place. So other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move this and look
I see your email about Brian Odom. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Brian, yeah, Odom.
Odom, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
it'd be good to have him on.
Perfect. So here's another, here we'll drop down. Sometimes I do photography for events, and after that, I decided to take a simple iPhone and go to State Park during the daytime. Now, if you notice these pictures, we're looking at the Pinnebog River. It's a place that I've imaged before I'll see if I can slide in a couple pictures that I've taken from there in the past and compare. What I'm showing here is sometimes preparation is the absolute key to making sure that a photo that you would like to take of the night sky, that you're able to actually pull it off. And in order to do that, and I'm looking to see if I can find those images. So this was 2022. I need 2023. Go May, April, March. Let's see if this. So March of 2023, because I've been to this lighthouse a lot, this was a planned shot over the lighthouse. Funny story, I went back to the lighthouse recently, and before taking photos, I cringed in horror as I realized I didn't have a card for my camera. So I was not able to take follow-up pictures. So make sure you have all of your gear with you and make a checklist, or you might not like the results.
Yeah,
because
right.
You will be stuck and you will have nothing but an iPhone to this is Albert Sleeper. One of the things that you look at is this is Southwest. So anything that's in the night sky, when it gets to that point in the Southwest, 6 months from now, the sky looks completely different, but it'll be the same angle. The water will look completely different because this is frozen in time here. It'll be full flowing water. So I'd be standing in some waves at this point if I take the shot. But it gives me an idea to say, okay, if I want to catch the setting Cygnus region, I can do that from this part of the metro park. I can come in during the day and I'll continue to look. I can come in during the day and take pictures that I think will make great pictures at night. Like along the beach here, this is the opposite of photos that I've taken from here in the past. And here, in fact, is one of those photos that I've taken. So where I'm taking these pictures, I found a way across the Pinnebog River. This was in the winter, and that's the Cygnus region. I found my way across, and now I'm standing on this sandbar over here, and I'm looking down the river. The center of the galaxy rises up. Some of those images that I showed earlier of the galactic center rising, that happens over the Pinnebog River. And whether it's happening here or if it's rolling over here, because the sky will roll to where it stands up, and what it amounts to is it takes a lot of planning to make sure that you have the type of shot you want. So if you want this part of the galaxy over here, you have to make sure that you're standing at the angle in which you can see it. And if you get it wrong, then you just have to adjust your shot accordingly. So these are different ideas. Maybe a panorama would work as the sky is rising. This is a closer look. And then this is out the dark sky preserve. This is out where the let's see, Saginaw Bay meets Lake Huron, and that's facing north. So for observing, it's a really great place, but you have to carry your observing equipment all the way out there, which is not as much fun. And there were a couple of other ideas that I had. These two in particular, I thought might make an interesting location, but then you have to go through some woods in order to see it. And once again, trying to picture, using the compass, trying to picture what a site might look like if it's at night and it's full of stars. So if you imagine the part of the Milky Way cutting through there at some sort of angle, these are the steps that you take in order to plan for future shots. So when the sky is not so great, or there's smoke in the sky, or you have a full moon at night, with Conal showing us, his
The sun.
Conal showing pictures, because we see that Robert's here. The moon is a wonderful object. And in fact, I think I have a couple, because before I did the presentation, I took pictures. You take pictures during the day in order to get great pictures at night. And that picture I just showed you would be an example of that. These are all the pictures at night. And so here you have this picture, and then there's a close-up, and there's the Milky Way going over. So when you take one picture and it gives you an idea, now there's clouds here, but you never give up. You say, okay, that would be a great picture. I'm facing, a certain direction. And then even when you take pictures before, and I'm looking for this one. Let's see, these in particular. So this is a picture I've taken. It's been a couple of years. And so then you take a slightly different angle, and it changes. Not only if there are changes being made to the area, there are changes being made in your process. It also,
There's so much drama in that image. It's
yeah. And it also, compared to the original image, it's maybe I use a certain style of editing for that one. This image, which the style of editing here made it so that everything was a lot clearer. One of the light keepers of the lighthouse loved it, and before we could hang it in the gift shop, he just bought it, and it's at home with all of his other images. So I thought that to be an honor. And I'm a member of the society that takes care of this lighthouse, so that gives me a little more unfettered access to the skies around here. But there's a lot of camping that goes on, so my idea is to make it a dark sky preserve aren't going to go so well. And here's the same. So we saw this shot. We continue to work on different angles and different processing techniques. That's how we grow, and we change our style. We figure out what worked well. This was a reprocess of this image. So over here, the colors, there's more saturation. This red light does really cast its light on the grass like that. But what I did is I said, I want to make it a little more natural looking. So I came back, and the aurora is still visible. The lighthouse is more of a natural color. The grass is more of a natural color. This is more along the lines of how it looks, natural color of everything. The sky still has a little bit of an orangish tint, but that from the fainter parts of the aurora that's up here. So while waiting on the weather to break, you you go back and you reprocess. This is what I was hoping to get. This was taken a couple years ago, but when I didn't have my card with me, all I could do was just visualize the shot that I wanted, and realizing, well, I wasn't going to get it this time, but maybe there would be a next time. And as for those shots along the dark sky park, and real quick, and I'll turn it back over because I've got some of those. Here we are back in the thumb, Upper Peninsula, and then I had taken some daytime shots of that same area, got a sunset, and then the Dark Sky Lodge and Tavern that's nearby, and at night. So if you remember or recall the image I had looking down this river, well, this was an image taken further to the north where the river starts, where it comes in from Saginaw Bay. So now the plan is to take this shot from over here. So now we have more of the river, we have more of the foliage, and we can see what position the galactic center is in. It's standing straight up and down, and it's getting ready to tip. So each image shows you what a next image would look like. This is part of the experimentation of doing your night photography, of where you want to go to do more night shots. Planning is essential if you're going to take good shots, or at least take shots that you can be proud of, or that can lead to even more shots. You want to make sure Milky Way is going to be in position. Use things like Spot WX or Astrospheric for cloud forecasts, astronomy forecasts. The weather might say it's clear, but it could be clear and smoky, or it could be high clouds in the area. So all of those affect the type of shot you'll get. And there's nothing wrong with shooting through smoke or shooting through slight cloud cover, because of you might get something interesting and unique that you wouldn't get otherwise if the sky was just clear. So with that, Scott, that'll be my presentation. We'll see what happens. If you didn't learn anything else, there's two things. Try again with images, try different angles, and do what you have to see the eclipse. And if you're looking for a place to go down to
that's right. We've got a spot for you. That's for
got a spot for you. So, and the chances of clouds down there are far less than the chances of clouds up here to the north in the Ohio area.
That's also true, but you can never exactly plan for what the weather's going to be like for an eclipse.
Absolutely.
There is something called fractional cloud patterns, and it's averaged over 20 years or something.
Yes.
Like that. And that's the data that we used to determine where we were going to be. But eclipses do weird things. You got this 1,000-mile-an-hour moving shadow that's cooling, leaving a trail of cool air behind it, and so it can do some really bizarre stuff. So
yes.
Anyhow,
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. Okay, so our next speaker is young Navin Senthil Kumar. And Navin and his father, as I mentioned earlier, met me at the Northeast Astronomy Forum. But Navin, are you ready to make your presentation?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay.
So, firstly, I'm going to share my screen. Sorry about that. I'm having a bit of technical difficulties.
It has been an evening of technical difficulty.
Yeah, I guess it's an amazing. My screen shared okay, but I've got multiple screens to work with, so maybe it helps. But hopefully, Navin, because yeah, we've had screens not share all
And
night,
internet
so
not
I don't know what's
work,
happening.
screens not share, so.
Yeah, well, all in a
You've done this enough times,
yeah.
Man, my dad's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the technical difficulties we have when we present online. Everything's working and then all of a sudden it doesn't.
And then it doesn't work.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Yeah, I screen share by picking I pick a screen to put all of my content on, so that seems to work, but there we go. They got it going.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
You see my
just
screen?
Head into presentation mode. And
Yes, we do.
Yep.
All right. I'm just gonna go back up here. I'm just in the presentation. All right, here we are.
There you go.
So my talk is going to be today about supermassive black holes. And let's get into it. So firstly, we need to introduce ourselves to what is a supermassive black hole. Basically, a supermassive black hole, or for short, it's known as an SMBH, or sometimes even an SBH, is basically the largest type of black hole, with its mass being on the order of hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions to billions of times more than the mass of the sun, which is pretty impressive. Observational evidence suggests that almost every single large galaxy has a black hole in the middle. Actually, it's a supermassive black hole. Two supermassive black holes have been directly imaged by the Event Horizon Telescope. So one of them is right here. It's Messier 87, which many of you are familiar with, for the astrophotographers. And in our own Milky Way galaxy, we also have a SMBH, which is pretty impressive. And then now let's get into how they work really, which is the description. Supermassive black holes, they're basically defined as black holes with a mass above 100,000. If you want to go a little bit more mathematical, in scientific notation, it's 10 to the 5th power. And this we're going to call M for short, because we can't just say mass. So some of them have a mass of over several billion M. Many supermassive black holes have physical properties that clearly distinguish them from the lower mass classifications, which is basically smaller like black holes, which are like the normal sized black holes. So first thing is that the tidal forces in the vicinity of the event horizon are basically significantly weaker for supermassive black holes. So for example, the tidal force on a body at the black hole's event horizon is inversely proportional to the square of the black hole's mass. Basically, a person at the event horizon of 10 million M black hole experiences about the same tidal force between their head and feet as a person on the surface of the Earth. So it's nothing different. It's like if you have like the same tidal force on Earth, it's like the same in a supermassive black hole. So it doesn't really make it much more different. Now let's get into some history. So the first thing that happened was who figured out supermassive black holes was beginning with the investigation by Martin Schmidt of the radio source 3C 273 in 1963. And this is Martin Schmidt, by the way, here. Initially he thought this was going to be a star, but then the spectrum proved to be puzzling. It was determined to be hydrogen emission lines that had been redshifted, indicating the object was moving away from the Earth. So now Hubble's law had shown that the object was located several billion light years away, and thus must be emitting the energy equivalent of hundreds of galaxies. So super massive SMBHs, they can emit a lot of energy because they have a lot going inside of them, which we'll get to in a bit to actually see what's going inside of them. And now we're going to talk about how they form. The origin of supermassive black holes remains an active field of research. Many astrophysicists agree that black holes can grow by accretion of matter and merging with other black holes. There are many hypotheses for the formation mechanisms and initial masses of the progenitors or seeds of the supermassive black holes. For example, many distant and early supermassive black holes such as QSO J313, 1806, and ULAS J1342 plus 0928 are hard to explain because they were made so soon after the Big Bang. Basically, this is how they combine. Firstly, this is the diagram that's going to describe everything. So firstly, this over here is the extragalactic jet. And then right here, this disk over here, which is orange, it's called the accretion disk. And then inside the accretion disk is the black hole. And then this is the magnetic field lines. And then both of them combine through the magnetic field lines energy. And then the extragalactic jet, which causes them to combine. And that's why all these supermassive black holes have a lot more energy. And one of them, and they're super interesting to actually find out. Now, they also can have a lot of activity in galactic radiation. A lot of gravitation from supermassive black holes in the center of many galaxies is thought to power active subjects such as the safer galaxies and quasars. And the relationship between the mass of the central black hole and the host galaxy depends upon the galaxy type. An empirical correlation between the size of supermassive black holes and the stellar velocity dispersion of a galaxy bulge is called the M sigma radiation. So over here, basically in the image, you could actually see the radiation that's going out from the like in the middle of the black hole. Because because all this energy, it needs to somehow get out. So it ends up radiating most of the energy as it goes. Now we need to prove ourselves with some evidence. So some of the best evidence for the presence of black holes is basically provided by the Doppler effect, which it's pretty familiar, whereby light from nearby orbiting matter is redshifted when receding and blue shifted when advancing. For matter very close to a black hole, in the orbital speed must be comparable to the speed of light. So basically, receding matter will appear very faint compared with advancing matter, which means that systems with intrinsically symmetric disks and rings will acquire highly asymmetric visual appearance. So over here, this image shows the Doppler effect in action right now. So on the left side, you can see it's the moving observer. On the right side, it's the moving source. And if you see the key, the green over here in the left is the real position. And over here in the right, it's the apparent position. And the arrow indicates the direction of the light pulse. A over here shows the light pulse going basically this direction, which is the blue. And this technically advancing. And then over here, the light pulse is going the same direction. And it's going in a circular motion over here, as you see, because that's what the circle is there for. And then for B over here, basically, the light source is pointing directly upwards, and V is going this way, and it's not really in a circular motion. B over here, shows in circular motion, and it's showing that this goes up, but it doesn't really have a circular motion over here for the energy. Conclusion: astronomers and scientists are still trying to find more information about these supermassive black holes. But for now, this is all we know about SMBH black holes. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Navin. What do you find? I mean, what and no pun intended. What drew you to give a presentation about black holes? Is it one of your favorite types of objects to talk about? Does it kind of stretch your mind to think about how a black hole works? What is it that you find so intriguing?
Something that I find super intriguing is actually how much energy they have inside of them, because one of the black holes, they caused an eruption. I forgot which one exactly it was, but it was an SMBH that caused one of the most energetic star explosions in about a long time, and that released the most energy. And that was since the Big Bang, and that was recently when 2020 when scientists found out. So one of the most interesting things about these is the amount of energy they have and their mass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're very strange, aren't they? You know, when I was your age, I mean, the idea of black holes was still very much just. I mean, there were people that were fairly confirmed, you know, that these things must exist, but there was a lot of us that still had the idea that, well, maybe this is just, you know, still just kind of not fantasy, but stuff, you know, that is so far out there that, you know, we can't understand it, and and maybe doesn't exist at all. So that was kind of the you know, the feeling about it, I think, amongst the general public. And then finally seeing an image of a black hole was really, really amazing. And I think that you know, I feel lucky to be alive to see stuff like that, you know. So it's something that you'll always have as you go forward. I can hardly imagine you know, your own experiences when you turn 60 and 70 years old, and what you'll have experienced in astronomy. So keep up the good work, Navin. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on the show again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, up next is Robert Reeves. Robert has been involved in amateur astronomy for a long time. He has written books on astrophotography. He is a you know, an organizer of the Texas Star Party, but his latest passion, maybe not just latest, but I think he's been interested in the moon for quite a long time. He's one of the most expert people I know about the moon, and it's always fascinating to hear his presentations. So I'm going to let you take it away. Thanks.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. Well, that part's working. Of course, the next thing up is the weekly exercise where we see Robert embarrassing himself by not being able to share a screen.
Don't worry, you'll be in great company this week, okay? We had so many glitches in presentations and stuff, but it's okay.
Well, we'll muddle our way through.
Sure.
Yeah, of course, you know, I've called the title of my presentation Postcards from the Moon. So I inspired myself, and I have actually made real postcards.
Oh, well, there you go.
From the moon that people can mail. So just a little fun thing I've been tinkering with.
How did they order those, Robert?
Well, I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
Eventually, I'll when I get caught up with a million other things I'm doing, I'll post it on Facebook on my regular Facebook page. Hey, you know, if you want these things, you know, drop me a personal message. I'll send you a package. So just one of the many things that I'm overwhelming myself with nowadays.
Right. Sure.
But as you said, the moon has been my passion since I cannot remember when. To date my lunar activity, I was observing the moon before we knew what the far side of the moon looked like, before 1959, when the
Oh,
first moon probe, Russian moon probe, photographed the backside of the moon and gave us a clue that the backside of the moon was not at all like the front side. But let's do the screen share and see if I can make this work. Are you seeing my title slide, the postcard from the
yes, it's
moon?
perfect. Look at that.
And just for fun, it does not advance. Oh, here we go again, folks. Let me back out of this somehow. How do I get out of here? Come on, nothing is working now. Ay, 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 ay. Why me? Okay,
Hit escape.
there it goes. Okay, let's try this again.
We're still seeing your postcards from the moon title slide.
Okay, did it advance to the next one?
No,
It did not?
did not. You can unshare and then come back and share again, and then find that dialog box. You know, you can see the different dialog boxes you can share. If you have a lot of stuff up, it can get confusing. So you want to just have the presentation part of it. Let's see what you got here. Okay. Now I see thumbnails.
Thumbnails. Okay, not what I am seeing.
Go back. Yeah, just go back again.
I'm back to my basic. My title, bringing up the title again and trying to advance. I can see it advancing on mine. Is it advancing online?
No, no. So unshare again.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just, I think you're just choosing the wrong dialog box.
Okay, go back to share screen. Well, there's, each time I do it, there's one more of these title screens showing up in addition to my thumbnails that I pick from. Share. Oh, well, maybe I'm not clicking share.
Okay, we're back to the thumbnails.
Thumbnails.
Yes, sir.
This is going to be the death of me. You are scaring. New share. I think the silliness of this may encourage me to stop trying to do this, because there's something clearly different. Something is not right with my own computer. It doesn't work like other people's do. And when I try to make things happen, it does not happen like it is. Well, now it's not even there. Okay. What do I need to do here? New share. Yes. Okay. What are you seeing now?
Still the thumbnails.
Stop share. Go back to my ugly face again. And bring up screen share one more time before I just pull the plug on this and say something is not happening right. I'm not sure which one.
Do you have other windows open that are instances of you bringing things up full screen?
Like
if you do, Alt Tab and kind of go through and see what's open on your PC?
Just the thumbnail screen.
Just the thumbnail. Okay.
And now I've lost the zoom. Oh, I am about to give up on this. This is defeating me. You know what, Scott? I may not be smart enough to do this. I may be able to navigate to the moon and back. But
If you would
doing-
like, you could email your shots to me. I'll throw them into a PowerPoint, and I could advance through them for you.
we may have to do that next week.
Okay. Okay.
I am clueless why I cannot properly zoom. I mean, every time I try to zoom, it's like pulling hen's teeth. So I apologize. In fact, I've lost the zoom screen too. I can't figure out how to get back to where it's not showing up anywhere. Oh, okay. Let me kill this. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. I'm going to minimize that. Get rid of this. Okay. Now let's go back. Hello. Okay. One last shot.
All right.
Do you see my title slide?
No, I just see you.
Okay, Scott, we're going to go to Plan B. I
Roll.
will email you the slides ahead of
Okay.
time, and I apologize for making
No
a muck out
problem.
of this. This is baffling me.
No problem.
So,
We'll get it figured out.
Alrighty. Sorry
All
about
right.
that.
Robert, thank you, man. Thank you.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Well, it's been a night of some technical difficulties, but we will we'll zoom over down under to Argentina once again to Cesar Brollo. Cesar, how are you, man?
Hi, Scott. How are you? It's a
Good.
pleasure. It's a pleasure. Enjoy and share with you guys this night. Thanks for the audience to watch us.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure every Tuesday where we enjoy together with glitches, with a lot of information. You know, it's normal. It's part of the family. When I say, okay, if you have glitches to share the well, the PowerPoint.
I will be completely transparent. I remember putting together a whole program for a global star party.
It's a live program.
I could not make it work. I couldn't get the broadcasting to work, and so I had to cancel the whole thing right in the middle. And so, anyways, totally understand. So.
Yes, absolutely. And well, tonight, I'm inside. I'm not in the balcony because we have a rainy night. My idea to share something live is impossible tonight. But talking about the idea of tonight about how as we are made of what particular materials. Well, I have a presentation with the image that I took of the sky from my balcony, and I can share with the audience my presentation. Well, tell me if you are watching the presentation now.
Yes, full screen.
Okay.
Yes,
we are lucky. Okay. Well, a carbon star seen from southern sky from a city balcony is my Iorg is a balcony. I live in an apartment, and I have the place that from every night we share when the sky is clear. I share with you, with the audience, the sky. Tonight, I took the idea to talk about DY Crux, that we call it the Ruby 2, because it's one of the red, that if the word exists in English, the most red, deeply red star in the sky, and it's a carbon star, and it's very, very near to Beta Crucis. DY Crux, it's a magnitude star of 8.3. I don't remember exactly, but it's over 8, and it's a star that is not easy to see, to watch to the naked eyes, but not impossible. Maybe in the city, you have the bright of Beta Crucis, and when you have so near, so big star, maybe you have a situation for the naked eye, maybe using a lot of that, Scott, that when you use a lot of magnification, the things maybe after make this presentation, the idea to talk about this star, I figure when the skies return to be clear, try to see to the naked eyes, maybe with a RC of 8 inches, and make a better picture of narrow field, because tonight I'll show you wide field pictures, but where you can see perfectly the red carbon stars. Well, first of all, the axis of the idea of tonight, it's the components and our body, and why we are made of stars. Of course, that I choose carbon to parenting to connect this star with our molecules of carbon in our body, where we have in meat, fat, everywhere carbon is a huge part of our composition. And well, the first thing that I can show you is that is, because I show a lot of time a picture with idea that have an idea of my field of view to the south and southwest here in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is at 35 south degrees latitude. Is similar to the people of hemisphere, north hemisphere, for example, in USA. If you live in Atlanta, Georgia, you have the same latitude. It's a place not so cold, not so warm, Well, it's warm in summer, of course, not so cold in winter. And in the southern hemisphere, we have the Southern Cross, practically over your head, near to the zenith. Well, this is my field of view. Let me know if you can see the stars, because sometimes if in the first time the image is empty of a star, because the internet transmission. Mm-hmm. But here, do you have the Southern Cross here?
I see.
Alpha and Beta Centauri, or Rigel-Kent, Beta Centauri. Here, maybe you can see very finely Carina Nebula in this area. Here you have two open clusters that we call Pleiades del Sur, or Southern Pleiades. And well, this is the first picture that I put in the presentation, is the near sensation that you have if you see the stars in a clear night here in my home in Buenos Aires, in my balcony, from my backyard. And here, for the first situation, do you have the idea of the sky? How many stars? Maybe you can see less stars than this, but you can see at naked eyes, this one, maybe this, the Southern Cross, and maybe in this area of Vela, you can see Carina and Vela. You see sometimes in very clear sky, in clear night, with low humid, in summer maybe, you can see the same sky. Well, this here we have in a night where we have more exposition. We have clouds too, and here you can see a much better Southern Cross. You can see it, Carina Nebula here with more how do you say? Well, it's more easy to see, and completing another stars in Carina and Vela, and clouds that are going from the east to the west in this picture. Well, this is in a clear night where I put around 100 millimeters reflex camera. This is the field that you can see now, where you have a Southern Cross. Here you have the jewel box cluster. Here do you have the Southern Pleiades, and in this maybe in this part, maybe here do you have the Eta Carina Nebula that is outside the picture. But you can start to see different colors of the stars, and this is the star that we are going to watch and concern more where it is, because it's Beta Centauri. Okay, well, here you can see around the field view of 30 millimeters with an APS sensor of a reflex camera, where you have a big image of the Southern Cross. You can see the carbon sock here. Jewel box, well, we say Jewel box open cluster, and we are going to change the position of Southern Cross to start to go to this area. Here you can see now a better difference between the red stars and the blue ones. And here now is the carbon star. Now I'm using over 5. It's a field of view of 500 millimeters, where you have Jewel box, Beta Crucis, and this one, maybe you can see the red star. This star is very interesting because it's if you compare, for example, with another stars, or to explain to the audience to talk about how astronomers take the measure of colors of a star to take a number. They use a magnitude, the same magnitude that you say, for example, this star, for example, I don't remember now, but this beta Crucis maybe 6 or less, or 3 or 4 completely. But the star, you can say about the color taking 2 different filters: blue for B major, the large B, and the visible B between green and yellow. And the number of, for example, if you have, if you need to, you put the star with the, you see with the blue filter, okay? And you take the number of the magnitude for blue. If for example, if something is red, through the blue filter is transmitting really small number. If a star is a small number, small light, but small light in magnitude is a bigger number, okay? It's opposite for the people. Well, okay, we are all amateur astronomers or astronomers, but the highest number for magnitude are less bright. Okay, and for example, when you have numbers, here I have a table where you have. Here is the example that I talk about how the astronomer take the measures of colors to say to take a number of magnitude of bright in this situation where you have a blue filter minus a visibility green. Maybe I think that is 550 nanometers, where our retina have the best sensibility to this color. And they took the magnitude for blue filter and the magnitude for visible filter, and you have a number where you have this class of stars, normal stars, blue stars. You have normally minus 0.33, 0.30, and you can see how a star in the red ones, because the number of the magnitude with the blue filter decrease a lot. But if you compare the typical red stars like Betelgeuse or Antares, or maybe stars from the Jewel box, that you say, okay, they are red, but the number that normally you can found is 1.40, 1.50, 1.70. But look that I put, but the white Crucis surpass all this. A normal red star doesn't go beyond first, but B minus B plus 1.5, while the values of this ruby star is 5.56. It's completely outside the box. It's very interesting. Of course, it is a carbon star, but it's a huge, how do you say, the component is so big that really is a very, very different star in the sky. And well, of course that all of this, I am not an astronomer, and ever for me, is about my curiosity, and my idea is encourage to the people to make this same search for information. Something that was great, that when I start to search information about the white Crucis, I can't get nothing from Wikipedia and say, well, anybody write something about this. And searching, I found a blog spot of a friend that is a great physics, and he make an article very interesting about the white Crucis. Many amateur astronomers like Gus Balan or Martin Tenechea. Today we was talking before the show about the white Crucis, the Ruby. And this is very interesting because when you have a star so out of the box, you have something very interesting to show to the people, to the kids, that every time we are talking about this, and things that today are not so, how do you say, are not so common in the sky, and it's something that you can show to the people when you make a investigation, a research, but a common research in Wikipedia with your pictures. You can take your own pictures of this, like I take the pictures from the city with a small telescope, or only reflex camera, and you have the possibility to learn about something different. And you have a lot, of course, that this is my first step to start to know about this star. Something that was great, talking about a star that is totally outside the box, is about this. John Herschel in March, 15 March 2034, Cape Sweep, and look, if you read the how do you say, the impression when John Herschel discovered this star, watching in the dark sky, of course, at the naked eye, he described this star as like a red, the most red, deepest maroon that he's watched. And this connection of the intense thing where I say, come on, this is different. Why this is? And you can say the most important thing, why, how. And I think that, for example, what he described, it is like a drop of blood when contrasted with the whiteness of Beta Crucis. Sorry with the English, because it's
fine. It's fine.
But if not, you can read to understand.
Cesar, it seems like in studying red stars, it's almost like someone a gemologist that's very interested in rubies, and is looking for the most deep red, the most, because they are jewel-like,
Yes,
very much like jewels.
Absolutely. And something that is incredible is tonight, where we are talking about this, and we are talking about, I choose carbon because I thought in the pictures that I took of the balcony, I remember that I made a presentation connected with my friend Pedro Cesar, and we try with different filters how you, when you took the blue one, practically disappeared the star. It's very interesting and have a lot of things to make different experiments, especially for kids, or it's very easy, very affordable to see in the sky. It's a star that here we can see the entire year, and it's and this is my presentation for tonight. It's about carbon, our body. We are made of stars, and if you like to learn more, here I can take I can give you this, or I can copy the links. This is the blogspot of En el cielo las estrellas. It's in Spanish. He worked. He made a beautiful article and was very, very helpful for me. I'll send you, if you like, and you put the links by the chat of our Zoom, if you agree, Scott.
Why don't you send that over to me and I will.
Yes, because yes, I'm not a specialist. The idea of this is not to say, okay, I talk about carbon stars. No, I don't have idea. The idea is that the people make the same. Take this way to make astronomy from his backyard. The idea is take the experiment, the idea, the feel the things about stars out of the box, difference, or how we can sense this about pictures. My idea, is how I can see from the city, maybe from the darkest sky, who is the sensation of this star between very, very, very near to a big white star, maybe to feel the same than John Herschel.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Scott.
Right,
I will
thank you.
send you
Thank you,
the.
Cesar.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Hi, John.
Hi, good to
Thank
see
you,
you.
Scott.
I wanted to say, it must be hard when you level your scopes out in the dark sky site because you're so used to using buildings to eyeball the level,
Yes,
But
yes.
I use that sometimes, that trick. When I'm, doing construction, I have to level something and I didn't have a level. So I use buildings or telephone poles in the background because they are level. So
Yes,
it's kind of a cool trick.
It's part of our landscape. It's part of our and it's great. I encourage a lot of people that live in big cities to use the telescope and take every day, every clear sky when it's possible. Point your telescope, enjoy, and John, you make this. Yes.
The moon
yes.
and the sun are always out, and when it's cloudy, you can get the moon peeking through sometimes. And so I've been doing a lot of those here where I live. It's been cloudy but it's very nice, very cool, and
absolutely. Last Sunday at night, normally we with friends we read with bikes in area that is near from here, and some areas we have a lake, a forest, but it's Palermo.
Yeah,
Palermo. It's in the city. It's like a small central park in the city. It's only 4 blocks from here. It's very nice to take a ride bike. And last Sunday we found that the shadow of the moon, that you forget in the city this possibility. And in parts where the lights was out of service of the road, It's really a safer place, of course, no problem. But we see the shadow moon, and something that, come on, when we forget this, when we lost this, and you are making a small part of astronomy and enjoying this, Well, thank you, everyone.
Great to see you.
Thank you, Cesar.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, John.
Hello, everybody.
You are.
I'm in the stars. I'm out in the stars
stars,
tonight.
that's right.
Let me show you here.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yep, I'm getting some blue light. I hope that quasar didn't blow, but maybe Betelgeuse will go, and we'll be okay.
That's right.
It should be spectacular. I didn't realize how close it was, but it's actually relatively close by comparison. It's Alpha Centauri is probably the closest, but we should be all right, God willing.
God willing.
So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Everybody's fine. We had it was a night kind of fraught with some technical difficulties, but we got through it. We had some great presentations, of course, and it's I think our astronomers gave our audience a very wide range of subjects to think about, everything from red stars to the dusty hand galaxy. I'd never seen that. I'd never seen photographs of that thing before, so that was beautiful. David Levy's beautiful new addition to his poem about his wife, dedicated to his wife.
Beautiful.
Learning about the Adirondack, astronomy retreat, and and Maxi, punching his way through the internet, as it was kind of giving him fits and starts, and he was able to finish to show a beautiful processing job on a nebula that he was working on. So, but our audience, we got a worldwide audience right now, and
awesome.
And you got the stage, John. So,
I'm so happy and thankful for all of you to watch this with us, because every week it gives me the ability to have to create work for presentation. And, it's cloudy, so we can't really do any star parties or public outreach. So this is actually the platform for me now. I'm getting used to it. It's sure a lot easier on your back, not having to carry all those instruments.
Right.
And pack for the long haul. But, you got to get out. When you got an opportunity to see a clear, dark sky with a little altitude, you will not believe what you can see. And even in the city, like I said, the moon, Jupiter, the planets, Venus is still looking really good. A lot of the open clusters, M36, 37, Cassiopeia has a treasure trove of beautiful clusters. And we're at a perfect time right now with springtime galaxy season upon us.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And then if you stay up all night, you might even make it to winter. But
right,
pace yourself.
That's always interesting to stay up all night and like at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to start to see a completely different season of stars. It's like, wow, okay, this is cool.
That first inkling of daylight is depressing, because you have to
too long.
You have to start going for targets that are more visible. So the last time we were at Pine House, we chased it into daylight, and it was just getting light. It was still a little blue, dark sky. And I go, I got to try this filter. So I used that new O3 filter, after Lumicon. And I got to tell you, we pulled it in. We were looking at the Rosette Nebula, and it was light out.
Yeah,
so
Rosette's
that
so big in the sky.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean,
you really have to scan your telescope around to really appreciate the whole thing.
And then, you fade to globular clusters, and then planets, and then you're done. Pretty much toast, unless you do solar, which they always make me do. I can't say no. You know, I had an opportunity.
So,
No, I mean,
so John, you've been up all night, stargazing, and you see the sun come up. What do? You make yourself take a nap, and then you?
Oh no. We chase the planets because the best time to look at the planets or the moon is like right after sunset or sunrise, when it just acclimates. You get this like little bit of a seeing. It's perfect, and you have color, like colors that you see that you don't normally see. And I remember we chased the planets. It was an amazing night. I was looking at Mars with probably 800 to 1,000 power with my bino viewers. And you know, with that kind of power, it waves.
Sky's really steady and tranquil.
But when it snapped in microseconds, I could see craters, and I could actually see that the ice cap was like Swiss cheese. It had holes where it had been evaporated, and it was actually looked like a you know, an iceberg or a glacier. From you know, it was mind blowing. And man, that is the best time to look at it. And then of course, once the heat started to come, it pretty much turned into a mushy situation.
Sure.
But you know, we stay up and you try to sleep, but you're so excited. And then of course I have my little buddy, and he's ready to go, and I'm not, so I have to stay with him. So it's a lot. Coffee is my friend.
Coffee's your pal. That's right.
And cat naps, I call them. You know, if you can close your eyes for a couple minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, you're good.
Yeah. That's right.
And then when you get home, you know what happens. Thank God I have a wonderful wife that allows
you go into a coma. That's what happens.
Yeah, I'm crippled. It's like coming home from the hospital. You've got to recover.
Right. Yeah. It is nice
crazy.
to have an understanding spouse. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start it out. I don't have much stars because we've been clouded out pretty much. And
that's what I'm hearing from the friends that are watching from California. So,
but I've been busy because any moment that the moon pops out, I'm ready. And the other night it cleared. It was an amazing night, but there was this thin high cloud layer with some haze, and then it was real humid, and the marine layer was, you know, it's been out there every day almost. It didn't quite come in, but it definitely caused this diffuse glow with the wispy clouds, and it kind of, you know, trying to capture the illumination effects in the clouds going over the moon. It's a different, you know, it's hard to kind of capture what God makes look so easy. You know, you look through the clouds and the way they glow, and you try to paint that, and it just takes time. Finally, but let me get started.
Great artists have always tried to have that where they could create the kind of the glow from within, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, and I hate to say it, with airbrush was a great way to do that, but with this digital platform, and now, you know, everything's Zoom, and it's, you have to do this. This is the way of the future. I mean, nobody's reading the paper. They're using their cell phone, you know, so you got to go with it. I mean,
in that respect, I think people read more than they ever did, you know.
Sure. I mean,
there's so much more to read, you know, but
it's a lot easier.
The quality of that reading, I don't know, you know, so
the ebooks, you know,
they're to read some very, you know, amazing stuff, or you can choose to read junk, you know. So
did Gabriel come on tonight, or Adrian? Neither nor.
Adrian did. Sure.
I missed him. Well, let me get started.
Okay. All right.
So this is my barrage of images. I've actually getting a little better. I hope no technical difficulties plague me tonight. Now, that video has been giving me a lot of trouble because, again, I thought I was home free and I wasn't, but I think I have.
The best thing to do with video anyways is to give it to me, Because
Okay.
if you try to broadcast it up to me and I try to broadcast it back out to them, it will choke, so.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's better if you say, hey, Scott, run that video, and I can do
well, I
that.
think I can do it. Unfortunately, it'll have to be off my drive, my Google Drive. But I figured that much out,
Okay.
So this is
Wow.
was looking at our sun. This is a guy that does photography, solar work. He's not, Gary Palmer's amazing, but this guy gave me a shot. He goes, check this shot out I got. It looked like a heart, at first. But, I went in and painted this from his photographs. So I have the convection. It looks like it's boiling, those little cells outside of the actual sunspot.
Mhm.
And then you see that flare coming out of the middle, right out of the middle of that thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's like where the magnetism is connected. So the plasma funnels up that magnetic line, field line. And, the scale of this thing, it's bigger than the Earth, probably, the sunspot. It's hard to imagine, but what an amazing thing stars are and how they're formed and the life of a star and the death. And it's just a cycle, it creates more stuff, more planets, more gas clouds, more asteroids, rocks, even white dwarfs, and also created us. The elements that the stars have in them is basically everything has in the universe. I don't know about dark matter, but
It's got to be everything.
yeah,
It's got to be everything.
this was a eclipse, partial, annular. I forget which one. It was a few years back. That was Bjorn's picture. This is my picture that I did with my granddaughter that night I showed you when she was out looking through my 9 1/4.
Mhm.
That was the night of one of the nights we looked at it, and she was amazed. She kept saying, "The moon is on fire." I go, no, it's just the Earth's atmosphere. Kind of like when the sun rises in the morning, you see that real red, or at night. It's very similar because you're looking through probably twice as much atmosphere, which has a lot of particulate, humidity and different stuff in there. So it changes it. This was another view, modern view. See the barbed wire fence? That was that was up there by McCoy Mountain in Simi. I just wanted to do something a little different. I think I went a little too crazy on the simplicity of the moon, but it's a kind of a cool mock-up. I like to do different styles. This was the one I was trying to capture when it came out the other night. So it was, very, very diffused, kind of, masqueraded behind a haze of clouds. And I was trying to capture that essence, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not 100% pleased, but it's not bad. This one was cool because I just looked outside for a second and there was a huge sucker hole. So I go, I got to do something because I have to have something ready. And I was painting this on my phone. Actually, I started, and then the clouds came in and killed me. So I had it basically the 3/4 of the moon pretty good. And then that other part, I couldn't finish it because I couldn't really see it. Plus the clouds were covering it. So again, I was trying to, get the feel and the look of the moon ascending the clouds was the title. This is another one. This was, you know what, I want to tell you, and you got to listen here. This telescope that you got me, so I use it for my lunar and planetary work. So here's an example of the kind of detail that I'm getting with that 6-inch triplet. I don't know what I like better, actually looking at the telescope because it's so gorgeous, and I polish it with carnauba so I can see myself, inside. Then I know it's real. It's mine.
It's real.
It's one of my favorites. But
Thank you, man.
I was looking at the moon a few months back, another night, and it was amazing. But just take a look at this simplification of my technique. I really like this. Look at the bottom. Isn't that cool how the craters are just soft and subtle, but they have depth to them? I mean, on a good night, all scopes will show this, but having big telescopes, it's great.
It's amazing that you've drawn all of this.
Well, I went to college to learn how to do this, so I have a very large skill set to be able to do this. Digitally, it's really a lot more easy because you have so many more features. You can go backwards. Back in the day, it was sitting at an opaque projector for maybe a couple hours to try to capture all those. And then you have to stencil out everything to get it perfect, because in nature, lines are pretty much perfect, smooth. I mean, of course, there's exceptions, but when I was taught to do realistic pictures, you want to have nice straight lines and uniform everything, stencil. And it's shading, then you just fill it in. It's like a contour drawing. The first paintings I ever got were those like oil painting kits with the airplane in the clouds, and you would paint by number.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what affected me. Here I'm trying to capture the earth shine I was getting, plus there was some haze in there too. But I mean, I love that telescope. It to me is my lunar scope, my solar scope, even with clusters and the veil. Even M51 I could see with it really good. So the scope you use the most is probably the best scope. So one that you can bring out relatively easy, that has, amazing optics, and it functions really well thermally with the carbon fiber. It's helped me a lot get some incredible images. Here's another one. This was one night my son goes to me, Dad, you got to go outside and look at the moon. And it almost looked like a hand with a pearl, in the clouds. And again, I'm moving quick because, these things change. So the clouds were pretty easy to get in the basic, layout. And then later I would go in with my digital tools and create the glow and, diffuse the background a little, highlight some of the clouding, and just paint it in. Painting clouds is pretty easy once you learn. You just have to practice, and there really isn't much to it. It's just a style, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I love clouds. I love clouds because, the galactic cloud of our Milky Way.
Yes.
And then, of course, the clouds and galaxies and, big molecular hydrogen gas clouds that spawn all these beautiful stars and solar systems. Like in Orion, there are so many baby stars being born. And with the big telescopes, the Hubble and James Webb, you can see those Bach globules where it's actually like an umbilical cord of gas feeding off the mother cloud, the baby star. When the baby has just enough, it kind of burps up and then burns off the tip. And that's why our solar system's here, because it burns all the material away. And, the gases will spiral into gaseous giant planets like Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, and the rocky planets in the asteroid belt, and comets and everything else, is the leftover remnants. So they're good, they're bad, they kill you, but we need them. This was another night, naked eye. I just couldn't sleep, so I got up at like 3:30. I had to get up at 4 anyway. and Auriga was setting, but these clouds were there, and Mars, this is this year when it was closer, and it had an amazing glow to it. And so it's Mars and Auriga. These three stars you see are the constellation Auriga. And if you would go right through the middle of the two stars with Mars upward to the right, you would go through M36, 37, and 38, I believe. It might be actually the other side, the bottom. So I think one of those stars, Castor, perhaps. Cool view though, you just look outside. Cool. Again, cloud paintings. It's real easy to paint clouds once you practice. And lately it seems like there's been a ton of clouds. I don't know. We've had a lot. This was Keith's crater. I didn't crop that too well. This is an actual volcanic cinder cone right near Keith's. And so, at one point, the moon was very active, probably early on before it, just died out. There's no atmosphere. And I'm not sure. They may still have some kind of activity, earthquake activity, because I know they measure those quakes and it rings like a bell, I guess.
I suppose, yes.
This is another one. I really love this one. So this is a nice open cluster for everybody. If you want to see something real nice, and the planetary is a little tougher. You got to use a filter to get it, or be at a dark site. Or in my case, I have the aperture where it doesn't matter where I'm at, I'm going to be able to see it, but not as good as when you get out to a dark site. And usually you don't see much color in it because your eye doesn't really see that kind of color. They just appear to be more grayish, kind of like the stars. So these stars, every star, I had to, make a rough diagram of magnitude, not a correct magnitude, just, shading magnitude from light to dark and then size. So I was able to come back and then try to, put it back together like it actually looked in the eyepiece. And this was tough. This was a tough one to get done right, but that's what it looks like from Mount Pinos with the NPB filter. And I think we were using one of your 100-degree eyepiece or 98-degree eyepieces Jerry loaned me. Amazingly sharp and very comfortable eye relief. And these are the kind of views you can see when you're looking through those big telescopes, or even a little scope will show you a beautiful cluster, and you'll see that little donut right in there with the filter. It's amazing. This was another Orion, Theta 1 Orionis. It's basically the trapezium area. And so I tried to capture the glow. Again, it's pretty hard to get it right. But another cool, I've done about 500 versions of it by now. This is another, when I do them, I like to work up 2, 3, 4 sometimes to have a, stock of different versions, because sometimes you go too far or you just, don't like it. So you delete it because you get mad, like I do sometimes when I spent hours on it. And I'm getting rid of it. And I always, before I learned how to use this stuff, I would accidentally delete them after hours. I mean, one time I had to paint the star field. I think it was the Swan, the Swan Nebula. I should go back to that tonight, just show you that thing. I had it so good. Like it looked exactly. And I clicked the wrong button by accident because I was working on my phone, and gone. I yelled. I used to yell, and then now I go, John, it's practice. Practice makes perfect.
That's right.
All it is. It's like even doing astrophotography. It's the same. All of them.
When it disappears, learning to let go.
Like when you lose your cell phone. So that happened to me.
Yeah.
And the first time I almost died from stress from, you know, just having a conniption. And I got it back. And then the second time I told myself, you know, I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
And it didn't get me. Thank God I was in my lunch pail. That's, can't believe it. You know, these are fun too. When I walk my dog, it's a little sketch. You know, I used my cell phone for a reference, but this is all, it's a crow. These crows always follow us when we're walking, probably because they don't like my dog. But it was just sitting up there and that rainbow halo was up there. I thought it was a cool shot. So pretty neat. A lot of crows out here. Okay, so that's it for that. Now, maybe I should try. Let's see if I can do this now. I'm going to try to play my video. So I go to iCloud Drive. Actually, I'm going to have to go a different way. Man, I wish I could have seen some of those earlier. I always watch them afterwards. I was, again, every day so busy.
Oh, yeah. That's
Here
great.
it-
That's the great thing about having them
Here it
all
is.
recorded on social media like that. So
So I'm not sure how to get it full screen, and it may look small. You can see it?
just you.
You don't see the flower.
Nope.
That is crazy.
This
No,
is what's been happening all night.
yeah, because you know what? It should play right now. Can you hear the music?
Barely. I heard like a little jingle or something.
Yeah, this is depressing. I got to figure this. I thought I was home free, man. Okay, so I guess that's not going to work. So let's just go back to some pictures. My apologies. You know what's funny is it works.
No
it
problem.
works.
It's been a night for this.
It works when it's here at home, and I do the pre-runs. It plays, but there's something going on with the Zoom, which I'm not quite sure it is. But these things happen, so we'll just go back to some photos. I've got quite a selection of photos I can show you. I can get to some of the flowers maybe. That really frustrates me that I can't show you that. That is depressing. Has anybody, so I have to send that to you, right? Is the idea? If I send it?
Video, yeah, you send it to me.
Okay. Well,
And then I
here's some
download
cool
it.
shots. This is a Hubble. These were Hubble. I was looking at Hubble shots today for perhaps a background. But this mouse is very sensitive. I like it though. It's got very smooth action. And of course, I don't have those other pictures here because I put them in that file, that beautiful file that I cannot play. I was just seeing if I had the swan in here somewhere. Can you see my screen right now when I'm scrolling through?
No.
Oh, good.
We just see
Okay,
you.
I have all kinds of pictures in here. All right, well, let me do this one then. Let's just go to the Hubble one. Oh, wait, here, this is cool. Okay, so I think that's
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
that's a beautiful picture by
Yeah,
Hubble.
that's nice.
Beautiful, great.
Yeah, when you look at that cluster inside there, so that's got to be super massive, right?
Yeah.
Is that an NGC 602 or I can't remember? But can you imagine that? It's just so incredible what Hubble can do. And that there's so much starburst going on. There's the other gas cloud. This one is where it belched. It like the star actually hiccuped or like belched out, they said. That's what it said on the title. It was HH 438 or something. But that was a cool picture, just seeing it, you know, like that hole with the clouds. It's really amazing. Very similar to how our solar system probably formed. It burns a whole lot of the gas, and then you have your Oort cloud behind it. And this was a galaxy we looked at, M108, the surfboard. That was an incredible night at Rodeo, New Mexico. We were able to see amazing detail in galaxies from Bortle 1 skies. Just unbelievable views. You know, that's crazy why it doesn't. Actually, let me try one other thing. I think I can do it this way. It's just that flower one was so nice. I'm going to make sure next time I'm going to send it to you so you guys can see these. I've spent a lot of time ahead of time, but it's just not cooperating. But this one will. Maybe. Can you hear it? Can you see it, Scott?
No. Nope.
Now that's crazy.
A gray block.
So I went to the drive. It's in Zoom.
A beautiful black.
Okay. You know,
well, we are positive people.
We are so
Beautiful
zoomed
black.
in. You remember Frederated, right? When these things go south on me, that's what I want to do. I want to Frederated.
Right.
For me, it's normal, you know. I'm here. Where is Argentina? We are all time.
Yeah.
The same situation that you described.
It's frustrating at times, but you know, this is what happens. You got to work through it. You got to get through the trouble. Speaking of stars, I could just play a little bit like this. How about this red carbon star, the Campbell's hydrogen star? That was from Mount.
No, it's still not showing any images.
What?
Frustrating is my flag in our country. Frustration. Yeah.
Oh wait.
No. Yes. Don't worry. It's incredible.
Yeah.
That is funny. You can't see anything.
No.
Okay.
You can see that you're trying to play some videos, but it's not.
Yeah.
I'm music or something.
Oh wait. Let's see what happens. Nothing.
Nothing.
You don't see anything, just me still.
We see the player controls. That's it.
These technical difficulties. I'm gonna have to figure another way. I hate losing.
Yeah.
So wait, now you can see me now.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Oh, I know why I couldn't see the photos. That's funny. These things are crazy, these technical difficulties. All right, let me just go one more time and I'll leave you go. We're gonna go to Swanee. I think I might have it. Yes?
Yes.
The swan.
Hey!
That's nice. Yeah, you've shown that
really
before.
nice. Whoa.
Yeah, this thing here, so like I repainted the stars. The problem is when you go back and forth, the image, the stars degrade. So you want to try to paint everything at first. You know, these aren't really high resolution files. So if you paint them, you want to paint them all at once. And that's what happened is I was working on these and I don't just paint. I mean, if they're not perfect, I start over. One star could take me up to an hour sometimes just to get it right. It's that bad. But this is like a real amazing view that we've had through the 32 and the 28. And when you use the filter in these great eyepieces that we have nowadays, you just see the most amazing views and the most delicate nebulosity and intricate little molting and tendrils of gas working through. And then the stars are being, born, pulling fuel. That's their fuel to grow. That's an amazing cluster though, right? I mean, nebula.
Yes.
A beautiful
It looks
one.
almost like a cubist style or something as well.
Yeah, Picasso, actually, it was Henry Matisse did a picture of stars, but they're very simplified stars. It's pretty cool painting. It's actually an etching, but I know a lot of these guys painted back in the day. Well, I think I'm pretty much capped out. My musical thing went south again, so gonna have to figure it out next time.
Okay.
But thank you, everyone.
Thank
I
you, John.
apologize about the mishaps.
It's beautiful how you take the impression of this in your drawings, in your sketch, or your pictures. But our pictures, like no photography, no drawing. But it's impressive for me, the sensation of big optics, because this is the sensation when you in your retina, when you have a real dark skies and you are using over 16 inches or 16 inches, is the limit. I know that when you start over 16 inches change everything. I don't know why. And go ahead of this size, you have so light gathering that is impressive, and it started to appear sometimes some colors that you can imagine, or is
like the Trifid will show color.
You capture the sensation. Yes, it's great. It's amazing, John.
It's good to do it all. I mean, for the public, like when we do it, my friend Mike Garrett, he's up there with his 6-inch and it's all ZWO, the air, and he's got his little TV, and then people will go over there and compare views.
Yeah.
But, of course, the camera view shows a lot of more details because, it has the ability
absolutely, but we can't we can lose for us the real sensation in our retina, the things in our last star party in Catamarca. Everyone stopped to take pictures and start to because we start to hate the bright of the screens. And the people say, I don't need this picture here. I need the sensation in my retina, in my eyes. And we start to talk, come on, we are watching without filters, horse hair, or, many. Yes, we was.
It's possible.
And
you need really transparent skies.
Yeah, the transparency.
The transparent sky in middle of Cordillera de los Andes, near to Cordillera de los Andes, with headage, because was so high, 4,000 meters. But we are enjoying in a very cold night. We say, okay, I don't need this picture. I need to enjoy the real thing, and this is amazing.
They see in Italy, they've seen the horse head a lot. There's some great people there. A lot of mountainous regions has some amazing work coming out of for sketchers but that's
in Italy, in where, in the north.
Yeah, I think the northern portion. There was a fella that was doing some photographs and sketches too that I stumbled into, and he was amazing. And he talks about being up at altitude, and that's why Pinos is one of a good place to go. Right now, it's amazing because you're above the clouds.
In the Dolomites, maybe in the Dolomites, where they have a more or less in the area of Dolomites National Park in Italy, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. My brother live in Italy from the 2000 year. He told me that it's very, very dark. In one some years ago, when we went to make hunting, that is like a national sport in this area because they are part of their culture, and they told me that the Milky Way is amazing as any another place in Europe. Is because it's far away of different places from Austria or Switzerland, you know. It's a great place.
There's oceans too. I mean, you know, look at Clyde Tombaugh. You know, there is something to viewing over water because it, you know, stabilizes. And so if you're above the ocean, you know, on a mountain close to the ocean, you can get some really good transparent.
Really good. Yes. And here, near to the Cordillera de los Andes, in the Chilean side and Argentinian side, is so empty of population. Anybody live because it's very, very. You have a strong, a very landscape totally empty of. Maybe you can see some llamas, guanacos, maybe a condor. I'll say, come on, and the sky is amazing. The zodiacal light is so intense. Was so intense. The zodiacal light was over Orion Nebula, and we experiment that was so intense. The zodiacal light that was something like I say, come on, it's something that you can see at naked eye.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And the Milky Way, when you have in the high altitude, you can say the center of the Milky Way in the zenith. When you told me that you went to Chile.
Yeah, your country, I'm going to say right now, I've got to go back. That view, the tarantula, Eta Carina, I mean, there's just nothing that compares to that view. I mean, it's unbelievable. And in the southern is like a whole new thing. And man, I should move down there and spend the rest of my life there.
Yeah. Well, we are working in the next Catamarca Star Party in 12, 13, or 3 days in here is a national day, you know, and we have a holiday weekend. It's in October, and maybe next Global Star Party or 2 Star Party more, I'll present the complete program for Catamarca for this year. And of course, you're invited.
Well, that's great.
Everyone.
And I got to get there.
We need, yes, and the prices.
We need Adrian to go there because the Chilean
Adrian,
beef,
yes, absolutely.
He needs some good ribs, and because I know down there the beef is.
No, yes, no, here barbecue and sure.
The bread too. Argentina bread is amazing. I mean,
yes, and
wow.
This is what something that we have the culture that we received from Spain, the Gallegos, mostly of Spain. People came from Galicia. We are mostly Italian. All about that we learned from our grandfathers. My grandfathers came from Italy. About how to cook the pizza, the bread that you told me. And we receive as a lot of culture of Spain and Italy, and it's amazing, mixed with very many Inca food, like the potatoes. And do you have some a lot of culture in culinary culture, and it's amazing. And of course that I receive more from my mother, from my grandmother, from my I am maybe 70. I am around 80% of Italian. Moving my hands and say, "You're Italian."
I actually thought you were Italian for the longest time.
Yes, many people. Yes, because many people say the same. Because we in Argentina we talk Spanish but with Italian accent, and it's incredible because when you see a very old movie from Argentina or recorded maybe in 1910, we speak different, but with a lot of people that came in the first big World War and the second one, we changed our accent to Italian accent.
Right.
Yes, we're talking Spanish, but it's a different thing. And
Yeah.
it's the same. Many times you are from Argentina, from Italy, I don't know.
We
yes,
have
yes.
Portuguese, Italian, Romanian. There are 5 Romance languages. They're all very similar to Spanish,
Well,
but different.
Different. And for me, Portuguese, for example, the Marcelo Sousa talks, is I can understand mostly of the things if he talking Portuguese, but it's not the same, and it's very difficult when you have a very near language. You need to learn more because you are more able to make mistakes because you think that you understand and you can write. No, well, for me, the Italian language is something that the people think that I can speak because my face or my accent. And the Italian people start to talk me very, very fast and say, no, sorry, I say only 2 words. Wait a minute. Yes, because maybe, for example, say aspetta, or per lontano, per vicino. I am talking
But at night,
2 or 3 words, but the people think, you're Italian. No, I am not Italian.
I've been at star parties where a whole bus of people and none of them spoke English, but you know what? We're under the stars, and I'm get gestury. I start using
absolutely, John,
and
absolutely.
they love it. They love
absolutely. It's something that you expose in the things that you're telling me now is the same. I tell to Scott once a time. I went in 1999 to Peach State Stargaze star party in Atlanta, Georgia, and I remember that I told to Scott one time that about this star party, where in this year, 23 years ago, I don't have maybe the 25% of my actual English. I have no more than 25% of the words that I talk now, that I understood more. And I remember that my wife Evangelina helped me a lot because she really talked have a very good English.
Yeah.
Yes. And
now they have Translate. The phone will do it all.
And we absolutely sure, and he helped me a lot. And of course, that we went with our son Agustin. That Agustin actually is processing pictures, and he's a great amateur astronomer too. And we went with Agustin, our son, with 3 years old only.
Wow.
And of course that in a moment, she told me, okay, I need to go to sleep with Agustin, and she left me alone with people under star. Well, this time I remember that you told me that I remember all things that we told with the people, and really I start to understand in Spanish. In my head, I say, how? I remember the things in Spanish because I start to understand completely all, because the jokes, the things, the feeling about the things. With
I did that to them. I told them Estrella de Muerte, which is death of a star, and then I showed them the Ring Nebula. And then I showed them on my phone. I did a drawing of
yes,
but it was not like what you would expect. It was like an actual type of a painting, you know, with reds and like monks in it. It was really cool, stylized,
and,
you know.
And absolutely, comparing. This is the feeling, John, that you show that is exactly right. It's something that if you compare with 1999, was a time where the people in Atlanta asked me about Argentina. Where is Argentina? Because 23 years ago we don't have the connection that we have today, where we know and understand and share feelings about politics, you know, or for example, one of my favorite shows in TV is a John Oliver show. I say, okay, why? It's American things, but comparing is something that 25 years ago was not the same way. It was the last time of course, that existed globalization, but not in the way where today we are connected. Because maybe if you start to tell, oh, you can see maybe about, maybe you can know about every single thing in the world, only reading something, or the world actually is really small about this.
Yes.
And this is something that where people that we share the sky, we are connected in another way. Compared with 25 years ago and now, is something that in this time we started to be connected in the way where the people is connected now, because
COVID
had
COVID, but all the technology, all the convergence and everything.
Everything changed.
And astronomers have been the early adopters of things like email and any kind of digital technology. They were the early adopters of photography. They were
scripting
programs. All the technology that we're using daily today. Astronomers were some of the earliest adopters of all of that stuff. So,
absolutely,
gentlemen, it is time to call it a night.
Well, I
thank our audience. I want to thank the presenters for their great presentations, and we will see you on the next Global Star Party. So
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Have a great evening. Take care. Cesar. Bye.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.